All right, I'm all ready to go now.
Cool. Everything okay on my end?
Yep, all's
Look,
good with you.
cool.
Awesome. All right, so let me begin. So tell me a little something about yourself.
Oh, well, if you recognize my face, I've had it all over the internet for years, doing podcast episodes that turned into video more recently in the last few years. Having my Relics videos on YouTube. Otherwise, maybe it's on a bunch of records and stuff between the bands Crucified Mortals, Nunslaughter, or various other things that I probably even forgot about at this point. And then probably even my name on a bunch of releases, maybe for like mastering or layouts or whatever kind of sort of production. So really just have my hands in a lot of different things for metal. So I guess that would be the best way to describe me.
Awesome. Also, what made you come up with the idea to actually start that channel on YouTube? Like, what gave you the inspiration to start it?
Um, so when before having a YouTube channel, Bridget, who was doing Heavy Metal Relics stuff, because the channel wasn't written originally just Heavy Metal Relics. She was trying to do like some acting gigs or whatever, um, and it was just kind of like it started to become more and more evident of how that world works, as far as like even if you're like an extra or whatever, which is essentially the work she was doing. It's like, oh wow, this just seems like a tremendous waste of time. Like I've got this idea where like why don't we do like YouTube stuff, and then we could kind of do I don't know if I even really had a name for it. It was just like grab some records and talk about it and stuff. And then maybe some sort of retro leanings kind of got tossed in there, like MTV or, with Vanessa Warwick or whatever. So in any case, like I had already been podcasting for years before that, but it wasn't in video form. And so we did Heavy Metal Relics for about a few years there. And then it just became more and more clear that like somehow those creative entities, the podcast and the YouTube world, needed to meet somehow. So I shifted my focus into figuring that out, and it was like, wow, like that answer was kind of always in front of me because I had Reaper Metal Records from really early on, which actually was the reason I started a record label in the first place, was to put out Crucified Mortals material. But so anyway, I had retired that for a while, and so when it came, hey, time to put all these together, it was like, oh wow, like this is where I can really take that idea and do something with it. And that was further bringing back Reaper Metal. I've always kind of had that same kind of umbrella of like putting all these multiple content pieces and various aspects into it, but never like fully embraced it. So this was like that tip off point to be like, wow, I can actually finally do that. So it was really just kind of through that, it just kind of made me take what I already had and put it together and realize what I was, really kind of working toward all those years without really realizing it.
Oh, nice. Also, like, what came up with the? How did you come up with the name Reaper? Actually, that's a really actually a cool name for
Yeah.
the for the channel.
Self-proclaimed. I did come up with it. Yes, I did not have a cool story of somebody giving me this name because he's just so Reaper-like. But no, I don't know. I just always really liked Reapers, and so like I remember seeing an early photo of Iced Earth, and there was a Metal Blade shirt where they had an early like drawing of a Reaper. And I think that was at least one of the instances or the tip-off point that I was like really kind of just realized that like, I was really into them because I was like collecting like figurines and stuff. I mean, I just have a whole like arsenal of them. And then even like Halloween as a kid and stuff, I'd always dress up as one. Like I don't know, I was just really always like into the character of it. So it was just kind of a no-brainer to put that as my stage name.
That's awesome. Also, like, what would you say is one of your favorite like episodes that you did of Hellcast?
Oh man, I forget a lot. But some of them, episodes, I don't know about full episodes because it's so much to remember. Because especially at the early stuff, like doing the craft of podcasting, and especially then, like there was a lot of like skits, So like it took a lot of time sometimes when like I remember doing the Metal Price is Right, and like that just took a long time because like had to find the sound samples for it. I mean, didn't have to do anything, but like just when you're doing these ideas, at least for me, like I just they just kind of hit me, and then like you just go find it. Like Metal Price is Right. I don't know. We need theme music. Then it's like it sounds a little empty. Like we're gonna need that little ding, and then you pull up a metal or a Price is Right video and just kind of figure it out because sometimes you can't find the right stuff, and that's why it takes so long. So anyway, that's kind of what sometimes can take longer than the episode. And then now, like, we're way more efficient and like just focused. And a lot of even the production aspect, like microphone or getting the audio and the video aspect, which multi-camera, it's all just at my fingertips. I got it programmed and stuff. So anyway, I would say a favorite like skit though would probably be one of the prank phone calls, and that would be Glenn Benton's Limos Waiting that actually Bridget did. That one's just, I don't know if you heard that one, but it's pretty funny. She calls this church, and this old lady that has no idea what this business is all about really wants to help out this Glenn Benton character that seemingly has the wrong number, but apparently has a gig booked here. It's just hilarious. And then there was like a porn store that I called because there was this band, Goblin Cock, and I just still think that's one of the funniest names. And so it's like I don't know the porn world, but maybe there's some sort of sex device or movie or something that Goblin Cock could fool them for. So they got mad at me though. They thought I was already pranking them, but I think I did like several calls. So like just I guess memories or more stuff like that. Ones that are funnier. It's Chris Barnes' Christmas album. I mean that thing just keeps going. Nobody knows that's like I never because I did that early on, like before knowing anything about social media or ever putting focus on it. And I remember like that was like on message boards and stuff. Like Chris sounds sick again on this album, and it's like this is ridiculous. It's me,
Wait,
and
that was
people
you?
think that it's Chris. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
don't think I
God.
ever admitted that.
That was actually, you did really good. I thought it was exactly Chris.
The impression is me. Everything's all me. I interviewed myself, and then I did I like 6 Feet Under Haunted. Like that's the only six. Well, I don't know. It's about the only 6 Feet Under I actually like. I had to think, go through it for a second. So I knew it so well, and it was just the funniest damn thing. A friend of mine's like, I don't know. I think I ragged on 6 Feet Under. That's another favorite thing about the show, by the way. It's just like being able to like have these stupid ideas. Like Chris Barnes sounds like a barking dog anymore, and it's horrible. How does anybody buy that record? And share that thought, and then like people pour out like I agree, or like my friend, and then like you should do a skit where like Chris does. I think he did say Christmas songs or some sort of child songs. Back then, it's like, man, how about Christmas? If not already, that was the idea. And so, like, just sitting down doing it, like, I think immediately even when he said that, I'm just like thinking of haunted songs that like, dude, that would be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And if not, like, literally just going on the internet, going like, all right, classic Christmas song. Oh, there's one that I know. That'd be hilarious. And then just like pulling up one of the songs and being like, I'm going to need at least 45 seconds, and then just like hack up the instrumental parts and like seamlessly put them together. So you had like a minute worth to do some sort of music behind. Otherwise, it's just 6 Feet Under on it. And it's just amazing how Rudolph, like little drummer boy, all like, it was just destined to be Christmas music. Like even little drummer boy, like there's what's the song? The original song's Beneath the Black Sky, where like there's just this part, dun dun, like the accents, like that's a little drummer boy. It's gotta be. It's focused so much on the drums. So it's like, but even the tempos are nice. It's not like you're going, Rudolph, like singing it really fast. Like no, you can do it like Bing Crosby, no problem. It'll fit right in there. It's the right tempo. So I think that's why I gag worked so well, and it was purely organic, even not even knowing how to make like something, reach an audience just through doing like internet crap. So now that it is, like, I just keep posting that thing, man, and everybody still falls for that. I posted it last Christmas, and they're like, "That's totally Chris," and it's just like, no, it's not. It's hilarious. I love it.
The funny thing about it was I was trying to look for like a full album of that. I thought it was real.
I put it on Metal Archives once. I put it like and then people were like even reviewing it like, I don't think this is real. And then I remember somebody, because I think it went to the Metal Archives like message board committee that oversees like moderation like that of like, and so people were like, it's Reaper from Hellcat, and like because he ragged on Chris here, and like I was impressed. I was like, damn, there's some research going into this. Like they're finding like specific episode clips and stuff, and doing like some research just because I said something else about Chris Barnes, and it's just like, wow, you're right. So that's funny though.
That's so awesome, actually. I really wanted to actually have an album like that, actually, because I was like, oh, cool, 6 Feet Under doing Christmas music. That's something cool.
Yeah. I'm thinking about just, like, doing a 7-inch of it or something. Like, some sort of Hellcast novelty. Because, I don't know, that's one of the things about, I guess that's another thing that's, like, again, it's not really episodes. It's, like, the unit as a whole that's, like, favorite. So to be able to even consider that or like any other things that there was. So do you remember that moron? We call them Hell's Bells.
To be honest, I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Okay, well that one goes back a few years ago, and it was just this idiot he was a truck driver. He would come to Hell's Headbangers, and like it became evident in like 30 seconds that this guy's a jackass. And if I could record him and just push his buttons, that'd be hilarious. And then I'd play him back on Hellcast and comment on him. And that's exactly what we did. And so, long story short, he basically had this whole bullshit story. Why, I don't even know, but it was, whatever. We were laughing about it in the commentary, but that people were laughing about it too. That like AC/DC and Pink Floyd were doing a show. And then so I just said, hey, why didn't you tell me Archgoat didn't open up for that show? And like he didn't bat an eyelash. Like, of course Archgoat might have been open. And so there was this whole story that went with it. That at the end of the day, I made this false novelty shirt that was an AC/DC logo and then Dark Side of the Moon, because this guy wanted a Pink Floyd shirt. So I just made myself the biggest moron I could think of to him just to fuck with them and get good content. So I was like, oh, AC/DC, like they have that album Dark Side of the Moon. He's like, no, it's Pink Floyd, man. So I thought it'd be hilarious that by the time I actually got this guy the shirt, I got him AC/DC Dark Side of the Moon. Just because I could do it. And I never got an opportunity to do it for him, but I made merchandise for it. And people bought it. Because it had fake tour dates on the back, because that was a part of the gag too, was, I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and so he was saying that this was coming to Cleveland in late September, and it was going to be outdoors. And it's like, maybe that won't be freezing, but it has a possibility that it would, so there's no way that this has ever happened. So it was just so much fun to, like, you put all these stupid, like, Alaska amphitheater December tour date on there. So it's like, and people bought it. Like I remember people posting on Facebook like their Hell's Bell shirts, as they would have called them there. I think you can even probably still buy it. And if not, then I'll have to get it going. So it's stuff like that though, that like, you know what I mean? Like you can be making fun of this idiot, throw it into the show, and then now have this merchandise idea that when maybe the Chris Barnes, like, it could be a 7-inch or something. Like, I don't know. People have asked, though, or people have said the same thing, though, that like, man, if this is a record, I'd buy it. So it's like, would you want the 3, or how many samples are there? Like 6 1-minute versions? Would be a perfect 7-inch, 6 minutes.
Oh, I would totally buy that. Actually, it was so good. I enjoyed
Chris really be pissed.
it. Also, like one other thing I wanted to ask, actually, I did. There's one episode of Hellcast I really like a lot, and that's when you were talking with I'm trying to remember like his name actually from the podcast actually I think like he was one of the dudes I think from Regurgitation.
Oh, okay.
Like I
Uh,
really say again.
I think that was that a YouTube video that the regurgitation guy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think Justin did that, or J Dog, as
Oh,
the internet calls him. I think he was just the. But yeah, we did that video. If I'm thinking of the same one.
yeah, I think it was like you guys were talking about like brutal death metal actually, and he was like showing off the new CD for like the Digipack that was
That's right.
coming out.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to say I really enjoyed that one a lot. Actually, it was one of my favorite
Oh, cool.
episodes.
It's weird because that's like I said earlier, like not knowing anything about like internet stuff, and now like so brutal death metal is to the eyes of the internet or Google and stuff like a keyword search term, and so it's like it's kind of brilliant because it's like the old school mentality of a flyer in a way. At least that's how I look at it. That so like even doing that video, then it's like wow, people really look for brutal death metal on the internet. So it's like then great that then now you know what would be something to talk about that somebody might give a shit, or to hear about. And so like it was just that was entirely with that. Then it was an opportunity. Then it's like oh man, this regurgitation just came out then too. Justin really loved that album, and that was why that even came out with Hells. Where I'm not even really big into a lot of the brutal death metal stuff. So like, it's cool though that like, we could still serve these ideas because, just because I'm not into it doesn't mean like it's something that I wouldn't want, to be a topic or brought up on the channel. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be more about the overall, I guess, culture or scene rather than just nitpicked genres, as long as there could be a conversation. So for that, there was. So that's cool to hear though, man. Because that was totally like, yeah, I remember doing that. It's literally just like, go grab a coffee, let's do it.
Oh yeah, no, it was very enjoyable actually. I really enjoyed that one a lot actually because like I became such a huge like fan of Regurgitation right after that came out on Hell's Headbangers. Like it really.
Oh really? That informed you of them?
Oh yeah, it got me really into them. I told so many people about them, and I was like, I gotta tell people about this band. Like, I don't think anyone really heard of what Regurgitation is, and told this released on Hell's Headbangers. So I was like, I gotta tell people about this.
Yeah, it's crazy because that stuff's like, well, brutal death metal alone, like, it's crazy to me because like I'm used to being like the I don't know, always the youngest of scenarios. So like now that brutal death metal in particular is like an era that I was like growing up, so I've got like that. Not even seen such story because I like I said I wasn't even really into it, but I just remember like what a lot of that stuff was newer or would have been old enough to that like so that now that's like at a point where it's being reissued and the time has passed and it's classic or whatever title you need to give it. It's just kind of crazy that it's just like shit. Like time does fly by. And I guess that one alone too was like a release that did I guess make its mark for brutal death metal, which is really cool too because those guys are from the area. So it's just always cool that whatever any local kind of scene can be played into things. Something obviously that I like to see too.
Oh yeah, of course. Like and also that one episode that I really got a kick out of was like I thought this one was like really good because it was like very entertaining. It was also funny at times. It was the one when you were talking about like when people say about your band shirt and they like it and they have no idea what the band is. I got a kick out of that because I can definitely relate to a lot of that.
Yeah. That's the. I mean, you know what I mean. You just can't laugh and really just be charmed by that because I mean that literally just happened to me. Where here you go and well, to do the episode anyway, because that happens multiple times, all the time. It'll continue to happen. But it happened to me at that point making that video that like somebody at Chipotle. Yeah, I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where there was like an Incubus shirt or something at Chipotle. That's a number one. Though that Incubus shirt that's caused a lot of trouble. Like it really it really sorts out the. I just don't get. I don't get how you can. Like, if you love the Pop Incubus, the Pardon Me band, that's the only song I know of them, or remember anyway. And I'll like to keep it that way. But, like, if you love that band, that's fine. But how do you not know that's not them? I mean, I remember, like, looking on the internet, like, at the library when I was a kid, and trying to find like albums of bands. And I remember Exodus in particular. And they always had an album that would come up, Pleasures of the Flesh, Bounded by Blood, all that would come up, obviously. But then there was like one, and I want to say it was called like The Ones Who Bind Us or something. Some sort of title that it didn't make it evidently obvious that it wasn't the same Exodus. But you never heard about that album in anywhere else that you looked for Exodus. So it was kind of obvious it wasn't them. But I, at one point, tried to order it anyway, and then was finally told, yeah, that's not them. And that was a different time and a different scenario. And so I just always kind of think of that when it's just like, what kind of fan are you that, like, you don't know? I just don't get it. I'm very perplexed by that.
Yeah, that, like I said, that was really one of my favorite ones that you did. And also, I want to ask, like, what was the, like, I was like trying to understand like a little bit of the joke thing. What is the whole "Pardon Me" thing about actually? Because I wanted to get what that meant.
Oh, that's one of their songs.
Ah, okay.
The one that that's well, yeah. So the Incubus that everybody. And maybe I'm the asshole. Maybe they really do think Mike Browning, but maybe they think Mike Browning. See, that the thing of it is, even if they were thinking Mike Browning from Morbid Angel Incubus, the Australian Incubus, or the Louisiana Incubus that I really had, they're not thinking about the Louis. If you're not thinking about the right band, I'm still kind of confused. The metal ones are a little more make more sense, but the Pardon Me thing, yeah, that's the one that they're thinking of. That's the god awful radio rock. One, like whatever city you live in, local FM radio that's like rowdy and they got the latest greatest. That's the tune they're jamming, and maybe they're not anymore. I don't know. Somebody reminded me at one point when I bring up like new metal and stuff as like being new, like common. Like right now, it's like you're about 25 years off, and it's like, damn it, I forget. So. Maybe they've been irrelevant for 20 years. I don't know, but that's the one they're talking about, though, and that's their song.
Thanks for explaining that. Actually, I was kind of confused about what it was.
An explanation is all you need. You don't need to go listen to it. It sucks.
No, I believe you. I won't do that. I would definitely just stay away from that. Also, like, but by the way, actually, I think I remember hearing about this as well. Didn't you also used to be a Nunslaughter?
Yeah. Probably about 8 years.
Oh, like how did that go actually? Because I'm a huge fan of that band actually. So how was it like being in that band?
Oh, it was really a key time for me because I was so young, and so it's just it was like a big opportunity really because it got me somewhere to go rather quickly. Which in some ways, I guess, maybe scathed me for my own path because I got to kind of be at a different level, like, so when it came to, like, touring and stuff, immediately, like, that was my invitation, like, hey, guys, like, or we need somebody to play guitar. That was initially what the invite was. They needed somebody to play guitar for their Japanese tour. And then... And so, sure. And they had heard Crucified Mortals. John knew the guy 10 years, and they call him Jim and Don. So, but Jim and Don, they had heard Crucify Mortals and then knew my brothers. So that was, I guess, because I didn't know them that well, but apparently that was enough for them to be like, this guy can play our music. So then I went in there with the intent to play guitar and go to Japan. And then something happened with two of the guys that were going to play bass, or somehow I got on bass without, intending to play bass. And then it stuck. But I would do like guitar on records as well. Cause I guess they thought I was just going to do the tour of Japan in 2005. That was, and then just leave the band. But then they started feeding me like projects, like, so they had, the Fuck the God in Heaven EP it was, on a tape that they had started, and it just had the drums and then the scratch guitar. And they're like, hey, would you want to finish the guitars and bass and stuff on this? I was, sure. And so that was the first recording then that we did, and then it just kept going from there. So like, there's a lot of stuff out there. I don't even know if I know, and then at this point have it all, because I was doing a really good job keeping up with it. But the main like studio recordings I have, at some point I was recording them, and then even doing like printing and stuff, like literally like printing the covers, like, because I ran a press and stuff at a job. So but needless to say, there was a nice little long run with that, and it was kind of a cool opportunity, and one that kind of coincided with a lot of my music projects then that happened, either with those guys, like I did a few bands then with Jim, he had a bunch of different projects, but one more like a death thrash band called Spawn of Satan. So that was cool to be able to part of that. I was a big fan of that. And then it was just even really cool to have entered a band that was kind of already around. It's like, Vision, or, in their sights, really just through something that I did. Like I said, they heard it was the first Crucify Mortals release, Converted by Decapitation. And I was like 16, 17 when we did that. So to have like these guys that, they're a little bit older than me, so they're like in their 30s, have that be something that didn't make you look like you're just some moron. That I think, looking back, that kind of was a really, it was just a really good opportunity I've had, because it was a lot of, it got through a lot of what I think when you have anybody has a vision of doing a band or any sort of creativity, it gets you over certain boundaries I think you put on yourself of being like shy or something. So I really think it was very helpful in that. So a great opportunity, I guess, is how I'd summarize it.
Nice, because I gotta say, like before, like I'm a really huge fan of Nunslaughter, and I really got into them very well, actually. So when I heard one time that you were in it, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool! I never knew that he would actually be in Nunslaughter.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you'll have to look back and look for the liner notes and band members on there. There's only one, to my knowledge, that there's a few, but one that's really off that I credited was the Goat Sodomy split. There was a demo. It was like it was a studio demo of the Hex album. That it was a later thought then that, hey, we had this extra song. I think it's The Creeper that's on there, and that was just on the demo. And for whatever reason, because I think there was more intention. It was never intended for there to be a Hex demo, and somehow there was. It was so unintended, and that's why it's like studio quality, because we did what we normally were doing for a lot of the 7-inches, which was have a guy just bring his gear. Like literally, he had a desktop Mac with Pro Tools on it, and then he would, a console to plug into that to then mic up everything and set up shop right there in the rehearsal space. And since there was 50 bands that would practice, there would be really loud, so we would have to go at 2 a.m. and do it. So we kicked out, that's how we did a lot of stuff, but particularly for that demo. So if we were focusing that attention on it, it was never going to be a demo. So, but somehow it did. And so then when it came to that Goat Sodomy split, though, it was like, oh, there's 2 songs that aren't even on, that going to be on the album, because the album, I think, was out at that point. So it was miscredited, though, that there was Zach playing guitar, who he was in the band for quite a while, actually, himself. He was in Crucify Morals as well. So it's just stuff like that, but there's a few things like that. But for the most part, if it says I'm on it, then I'm on it.
Nice.
So I'm just happy hunting.
Awesome. Also, I want to ask you this. You work for Hell's Headbangers, right?
Yeah, I did. Just recently, started doing. Went my separate ways now to do Reaper Metal Productions full time. But yeah, I was there. I was working there for probably 12 years.
Oh wow! Like, how was it there actually? Because I remember seeing that tour video that you actually did at the time, and I wanted to know, like, how was it actually like being there?
Well, it's I mean, it's hard for me to maybe describe is in the way that it would be maybe more obvious to describe it. And like, it's the greatest thing ever. You're around metal. Well, just simply because it's a family business. So like, obviously, once you get past the reality of this is my job, it is your job. So there's a lot of just, running the business kind of things that, that it just turned into work. But none of that makes me, it's just one of those things that when you then reflect upon things, then you realize how great you had things. So reflecting upon it, yeah, I think it was awesome, because what better thing could you be doing, than doing around metal all day. And I guess I did maybe fill in that blank that I could be doing better things, because at least my duties, I didn't think reflected upon what are some of the stuff that I wanted to be doing. And that was like, I want to be furthering like Hellcast and stuff. And so for no reason for anything but good, just made the step into that direction, and got, right parties to take over and stuff. So it's cool to be kind of now furthering that agenda. But anyway, none of that would have been even possible without having had Hell's Headbangers experience, which is, again, kind of like the Nunslaughter thing. Like, it was because it was my 3 brothers that started doing that, so it was already an oiled machine. And so, like, I was running a printing press for probably about 5 years right out of high school, as my a main time job, and that was enough time to teach me, like, I don't want to do this for a career, and then kind of presented what I had in mind, because, like, my brothers weren't going to just be like, here's a job, without being at least convinced why they needed me. And so, because my intention was more so to do like promotion and stuff for them, that was exactly what I did, was convince them to give me a job that was like, I could do this. That eventually just kind of evolved into, what we actually do need you, but it's this. And so that actually turned out to be like the inventory. So like everything that was coming through the doors at Hell's Headbangers for the better half of 12 years, like my hands was on it first, like every piece of merchandise. So that was really, I think, like I said, when it came to needing things, opportunity is a big word. It turned me into this freaking metal encyclopedia, whether I wanted to, because I'm thinking I'm cool or not, because that was a part of the job. So, like, when Ass Flavor tapes come in, who the hell are they? Well, they're the South American band that has a really poorly produced cassette tape, and they spell it the English way with a U, flavor that is, and it made it that much funnier when I saw it. Otherwise, they put, gory covers on there. You see this stuff, and if it spikes your interest, or as it, I think, did to me, made me think of funny things like that, I think that I wouldn't have been able to do Hellcast the way that we did it, because it, like it said, that metal encyclopedia aspect. So opportunity again, the big thing. So like I said, it does just turn to work, and it isn't like we're just listening to metal and pizza, eating pizza all day, and you're running a viable business and getting bitched at by customers or paying the water bill, or got a moron truck driver that you sometimes is late. So just stupid shit that comes with any business, but helping to run all that too, though, it was what I was doing, and now here we are, I guess, going back and looking at it that way, though, pitching it with promotions, and to now be doing Reaper Metal full time. It's like, wow, that kind of came full circle, because that's definitely what I had in mind at the time, but it just wasn't that unit yet. So opportunity, definitely.
Oh, nice. Like that's actually, I really like how that. I really like the story. Actually, I gotta say, like, one thing's for sure that actually, like, also not just like the whole thing with everything else, but like for you yourself, you really also inspired me too to really start actually almost maybe do my own metal podcast in the future.
Oh, sweet, do it.
Because
Yeah, definitely do it.
oh, of
There's
course,
no reason not to.
of course. Because I was thinking maybe I should maybe advance my channel maybe a little bit further and see where I can go with that.
Exactly. You know what? It's there's no harm in it. There's only good, and if worst case scenario, you'll have a good time.
Oh, of course.
And especially if you're a fan, you just who's like if you're reaching out like that. Like I still like every time we hang up with like an interview, it seems like I feel like enriched, because then you look back, you're like, holy shit, man! I just talked to. I mean, it ain't like he's a huge name, but like just recently, after a minute, it's like, holy shit! I just talked to Rodney from Texas Devastation. I've talked to Rodney many times and met him in person several times, but like that's a band that I grew up on listening to and loving. Like that's like one of my like legitimately one of my favorite bands. I would have never thought I would meet the vocalist, then interview him for this show that I had that's on the internet, that's a video. Like I would have thought if I was doing anything other than music, maybe some sort of radio, but podcasting, like what the hell is that? So the opportunity is just so easy too, that all it does take is momentum. That at the end of the day, if all you got out of it was talking to some people that you wanted to talk to, then you kind of got that inspiration feeling that I was talking about out of it, or just the whatever the satisfaction is that you got a job done, or people commented on it and then tell you that they really like it, all the above. I mean that's awesome. That's like fuel for the fire. And it reminds me of Rat Skates, the original drummer of Overkill, did this documentary about his time in Overkill, so it would have been like the demo days, and like the craft of it. And there was a line in there where he was talking about the New York scene, and he's talking about a lot of the key guys that anybody hear, Megaforce, yada yadas, that would have been at the time, but there'd be the ones that are more deeper engraved in your liner notes on your Overkill records as like the Road Crew, the whatevers. And that was the point, though, is like, they might be the ones that are further down there, but like that's their passion. My passion's playing drums. Bob's passion's writing a zine. And it was collectively everybody doing what they do well or wanted to do was what made the scene and everything important. And so it's stuff like that that's like, I think that's what's really cool even about the internet is like you wouldn't have the power to reach somebody with video. You would just be this guy making a video. And then how you getting it out there if you didn't have YouTube? If you didn't have the internet? You know what I mean? Then you'd have to be relying on like network TV. Like when the hell is that happening? Then it's going to be like, what, PBS station? Nobody's watching PBS. They're watching PBS for Mr. Rogers, not your metal podcast. You know what I mean? So, like, the ability to even reach people, it would be a pain in the ass. So, like, to have that now, like, it's, like, because in my head, I'm, like, throwing all these conversations into it that I have to say, is like it's that Rat Skates conversation because he's talking about shit in the 80s and people always like bring up the evolutionary kind of thing, elements to whatever they're talking about. You know, even politics. Thomas Jefferson said this. The guy that's been dead for 300 years. Let's model him. So, like, it's shit like that in my, like, why are we always modeling the 80s? Why are we always modeling this old stuff? You know, so, like, if we have the internet, we don't have to be like, Xerox zine, fuck you if you're doing a web zine. Like, well, both are cool. One's cooler than the other because that was the time. But why are we poo-pooing web zine? Why would we poo-poo YouTube? Why would we like, don't. Because if you could reach people with this stuff and it's getting the passionate fans out there, or better yet, it's generational, why would you want it to die like Xerox has died? Because then the scene will die with it if that's going to be our means to then get it out there. You know what I mean? So then if you embrace the new thing, so maybe it's not, but in a way, I guess it kind of is. Podcasting might be the new Xerox zine, you know? Like, isn't it still cool, though? Like, I mean, I think it's cool to be able to do this. So, you know, I don't know. Anytime I hear somebody gets inspired to do anything that's not music, I mean, do that too, but it's just the easier go-to. Even, and then maybe a label might be secondary. Like, embrace those because that's what keeps this stuff going. It's the rat skates thing. Like, everybody plays their part, and then if we, you know, kind of poo-poo on all that, and then got to be elitists and nobody can do this, well, then we're gonna have a world full of Britney Spears and music that we never want to hear, like that shitty YouTube stuff with that same damn drum beat program. That's like, I'm telling you, it's every fucking YouTube video. You hear that stupid? I don't even know what kind of music they call it. I call it YouTube music. Like, I'm waiting to see a guy driving on his Harley jamming it. It's like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere now. And, like, that would be the world, is shit music if, like, you don't embrace this stuff. So, a little bit of a rant on that one, but.
No, but I totally agree I have to totally agree with you on that, actually. I really do.
Cool.
Because, like, if it wasn't for YouTube and everything, I don't know what I would do with, like, my whole ideas of wanting to keep, like, everything, like, you know, keep, like, the scene alive, knowing that I'm, like one of those people who want to show my love for music and actually talk about, like, you know, whatever album I'm into, and other people enjoy it. So that's something I really actually want to keep doing, actually, because one, it's entertaining, and two, I love doing it and having fun with it. And the third thing is that at least I'm actually expressing it to a wide audience of people who actually enjoy the same thing as me.
Yeah, well, and it's like, it really kind of, like, it eliminates that, at least I've come to really discover and think about it, because people have reached out to me then, like, saying, I love listening to your show because it connects me for a time period to the friends I don't have because I live in West Virginia where nobody's in the metal or something. And that's really, really cool because, I never thought that would be something you could do by, you know, half the stuff we mentioned earlier. And the fact that it does is like, wow, because that's me, man. Like, that was me as a young kid. So much that I had the brothers that should have been in the same, but we weren't, you know? So, like, I was still disconnected even while connected. So it's almost like even more disconnect sometimes because, like, I don't have to even tell you about this. You know it. Anybody that's into this stuff knows it. Like, when you're psyched about this, like, you just kind of, like, you check out this rare demo. Like, fuck, dude, Miscarriage from Germany. You don't know them. Like, you can't stop. But or maybe you're shy, but you want somebody to hear this awesome band or see this artwork. Something of a more promotional aspect, really, if you were to categorize what you're doing when you do that stuff. Which actually is even more so the point of embracing something like a podcast. Because it is promotion. It is telling people stuff. And most musicians and people that are into things more niche, they don't want to sell you something because they think of the sleazy car salesman that sold them something. And it's like, well, if you, like I just used examples now, you're always selling someone something. So why not it be metal then and good stuff? Because we're not sleazy car salesmen when we do it. We're just fans. And if I were to sell you something and now Miscarriage Miscarriage has been gone for 20 some years. Let's say they're back now and they're doing a tour. Now they can thrive? Like, how is that a bad thing? So it's shit like that. And so, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying though is like, I don't like when it's like, it's just, I think people are ill-informed sometimes, especially now as the old school, which had to be the way, is not the way anymore for certain things. And then it just forcefully gets put into there, kind of like the YouTube world. Like you're kind of immersed in it or not. You know, the guy that prides himself that I don't have a cell phone, screw smartphones. That's why that phone call we had the other day didn't work out, because you have a shit phone. You're just gonna have to get one, smartphone, whether you like it or not, at some point. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Also, like, not just that. Like, I've also like been into really a lot of old school death metal demos actually, because I was never really like born back in the early like 80s or the late 90s and all that.
Right.
During the time when that was like really getting out there, and I never knew some of these bands existed. So I don't know if you heard this channel, but you should actually check it out if you're really interested. It's called Ken's Death Metal Crypt, and it has like.
Oh yeah, it's got a bunch of Cleveland stuff on there.
Oh yeah, I actually interviewed him not long ago actually, and I became very good friends with him for ever since I did that interview with him, and his channel has a whole bunch of loads of all demo tapes from so many old death metal bands that. That's something that, if you're interested, you should really check it out, because they really have some great stuff on there.
If we're thinking of the same guy, I think I already have. Yeah, he had a bunch of Cleveland demos and stuff, because there's like a lot of gems from the 80s especially, and then, yeah, just even death metal, whatever, from Cleveland, the Cleveland area, and I guess, because I don't think he's from here, but he just, knew that scene. If we're talking the same guy. So I'll definitely have to go to at least confirm. But if not, I've been there, and yeah, and a lot of people in general have done that. And then there's even there's a few channels though, and they do that with new things, which is really cool too. And labels should embrace that ability, because those are essentially people with networks that are doing that for new bands. They have that same spirit and that same flame. And if their network's bigger than yours, or even if not, they have one. They have people that, you're the cool friend that knows the good demos and stuff. Everybody's got the buddy. We know that. They don't know their shirts. The Incubus, that Incubus guy we were talking about earlier, mm-hmm. He's got all the same characteristics as most people that just kind of, they get their... There's just some plain Jane people. Let's just put it that way. And so those plain Jane people, they don't know what Incubus they're listening to. They don't know. Shit, I just forgot what the hell words. They just don't know like that fandom. So, man, I lost it. I don't know what I was going to say with that.
That's okay.
Yeah, but that like to. Essentially, like, be a fan, even if it's new or not, utilizing YouTube or not. Like, if you're into this, like, you're the guy with the that knows some stuff, because you could have these labels and stuff reaching out to you for exclusivity, as I've done with Reaper Mill Productions anyway, and had, like, hey, post this album that's coming out on your channel, because they get big followings. And it's just cool ways, though, to reach people, and like even the fandom aspect's a little more even organic with some of the technology. Like I think the overall thing that at least I keep going back to is like reiterating how the technology isn't as bad as a lot of people have said it was. like wow, the whole digital music world. Like I don't think it did as bad as the shit that people thought it was going to do.
Oh yeah, no, because like sometimes it's good that these people like actually put up like a digital version of like an old album because then you had the chance to listen to it. Because back then I remember it was always so hard to find like an album because the whole tape trading scene and everything, and there was so many tape
Yeah.
trading, so it wasn't easy to find that one band unless somebody traded it with you, and then you would talk about it to somebody.
Well, yeah, or if it's like the demo stuff, as we're talking about, like then it's almost maybe generational. Where like I don't know how old you are, but like you would be presumably if you're younger than me, then like I would be a little bit older than to have the older friend that would be more into that generation that did have the '80s demo tapes. Where like by the time even if you're off a decade, you might be too young to ever be friends with somebody like that. That would be the only way of ever maybe hearing that demo. So, like, yeah, that's cool as shit that it's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, also one other thing actually. Oh yeah, I want to ask you, what kind of guitar is that actually that you have?
Well, I'm in my living room, so I don't have like the pure metal ones. So this is just my acoustic.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
first I thought it was like,
Otherwise, if I'm in the middle of building a home studio, so otherwise I'd be immersed in I once had a wall of BC Riches. That I did do some videos, and a lot of people were always like, "I want to buy that bitch," or that the BC Rich bitch. I don't have quite the vintage Dave Mustang one as I would always want, but I do have a red BC Rich bitch, so that was good enough for right now. Maybe one day, if you know what I'm talking about, the BC Rich bitch guitar.
I don't think I've seen that video yet. Anything? I'm still trying to catch up on other videos. Some
Oh no, I mean, but just BC Rich bitch. The it's just one of their designs, like the Warlock or the Iron Bird.
Well, I think I have one of the Warlock guitars actually.
Oh, okay.
So I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Killer. Yeah, I was like BC Rich's, at least for look. I know like more audio nerds kind of find things wrong with the BC Riches and their sound and maybe prefer Jackson or something else, but I always liked them.
Oh yeah, no, I love BC Riches because I like the way they play and also the headstock too. I like the horn headstock on them.
Oh yeah, the Widow headstock.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's only a Widow though if it has the little peak in the middle of it, because then there's the horns ones that are just rounded. Then there's one that has the peak in there. That's actually the Widow. In fact, I know that it is because it's like a Widow's peak. So it has to have the little point in the center too to be a Widow headstock. Otherwise, I don't know what the point's called, where it just has the U.
Like I just have the U one. I don't have the one with the little point on it.
No? Oh,
No.
okay, yeah. I think my Warlock has that, the Widow headstock.
Nice. Like I always love those guitars. Like even when I see it in the store, I'm like, oh, I think that's the most beautiful one.
Yeah, I almost like tried to collect them, or not collect them, but like I was just getting different versions of like I had a bass. Then I remember they put out like a neck through series. Then BC Rich neck through. Like I think that was literally what it was called. Then I wanted to get like their neck through bass at the time. That was a pretty sharp, like it had like a green finish on it then too, with like black though. It was really cool.
Nice. Also, let me think about it. Has there ever been like an actual episode of Reaper Metal Productions that you actually with like it was never like released, but like you wanted to put it out?
Oh yeah. There's well, not so much Hellcast. Those always just come out whether or not they're. No, they're always fine. I was gonna say if there's something bad, they're always just fine. But there was just maybe a few skits that maybe got. I think there's like a bunch of those same session phone calls that I described earlier. Other than that, that's pretty much all there. I know there was probably 3, maybe 4 early heavy metal relics that we did that we never posted. That I don't think. I mean, I wouldn't give a shit. I would post them. but the other person involved might not like that. Just out of one of those cringeworthy factors of it being the early. Those would have been the demo. So maybe that could be what we could do. The demo version of Heavy Metal Relics videos. But no, everything pretty much comes out. So
nice.
Actually, no, I'm a liar. There is a bunch of. I did have, because I do have some like concert footage and stuff that I was going, but I don't know what to do with it. So I don't want to just go on and just like post stuff, because I don't know. It seems like to effectively have a YouTube channel or a brand, rather, you got to have some sort of conversation going. If a conversation is what you're trying to have with people for your model, and that's what I'm trying to do anyway. So I think that a lot of those concerts, at least, they didn't seem to fit the conversation. And then actually we did just have opportunities where it's kind of building up for a return of Heavy Metal Relics. But it's mostly just all that kind of stuff. Where as far as Hellcast, though, no, that's always been just posted, and there's really no scraps left of that, unless it was just kind of edited down. Some of the edited, even the older episodes, I did go back and edit some of those down, especially some of the early ones. We kind of got in trouble for them. More so with fans, or just not with fans. We didn't get in trouble with fans, but like there was just like stuff that through the years, like just had some problems with like having music on it and like posting it on YouTube. Like we were an idea, and then you had to remove it. And then I suspect that I pissed off Annihilator, the band, and some other bands sometime, and then they made me remove some episodes through that. So there is actually a full-length episode now that I think about that. Yes, not even on the internet, because it had something on there that was like a violation that I don't know if, like, I don't know how to fight it. I don't know if it's fair use. I've been told that it would be considered fair use, but nevertheless, it got pulled off the internet. So it was like, oh well, I forgot all about it at this point. But so I guess I guess I lied. I guess there's a full length episode that's not out there either.
All right. Like also like one other thing I wanted to ask too was like do you have like any ideas of any upcoming videos that are coming soon? Like, do you have any like any thoughts of what do you want to do next? Like, what big ideas you want to do next for the channel?
Oh, so more of a bigger picture, or what's coming up on like the next series of Hellcast?
The next series, basically. Like, what other ideas? Like, is there any like big ideas that you're coming up with?
Yeah. Well, the biggest picture idea is eventually doing the episodes as a live stream. Going back to that. But then coming up, no, because honestly, I pretty much just figured out the episode like moments before doing them, or if I really have my shit in order, like a day ahead of time. I don't know. It's like I literally just kind of pull them out my ass. So I don't know, but I think, well, because I'm trying. Honestly, they're influenced because I'm doing that Into the Darkness interviews podcast now too. So a lot of the Hellcast conversations have been mimicking that, whatever that theme might be, of whatever band, or at least bring up the band. Because there's a lot of cool things that come out of these interview conversations sometimes that I think are fun conversations we could expand more upon in Hellcast. And I don't know who the next Into the Darkness guest is, because those always post first. Because it's been taking a moment to book them. I've had everybody I've tried to book, which is about 10 people at this point. They're either going to be in a few weeks, or they're going to be, or they never got back to me. So it's like, damn it. But it'll happen regardless. But I don't know. So I guess I'll be pulling that one on my
ass. Awesome. Whatever comes out, I'm actually looking forward to it. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be next Friday. I can tell you that. I mean, the schedule will always be the same. But I mean, honestly, that's just kind of literally how we do them. Like, I'll just come up with an idea, and then, hey, this is what we're talking about today. It helps having those segments too. So you just kind of got to go and jam some music, find a classic record to put on the wrong speed. So the segment part happened. I mean, I guess that's what like I was saying earlier, like being efficient with stuff. Like, not to sound like it's all punk, it's all great, like, oh, we just go up there, but like, it is that some of that effort toward that efficiency where it's like, I don't really have to put all this extra thought, and I do have like a list of ideas that has just been there for years. That worst case scenario, like I just go and grab that, and that's like, it's time for this today, But some of those are bigger topics too. Like, I know, like, one of the things I want to do, because now it's getting to the point too where it's like, is it how do you do it? Do you do it on Hellcast? Do you do like Heavy Metal Relics video of it? Because Heavy Metal Relics has more of this like show and tell quality to it. So there's going to be a lot of like the big fours and stuff come back with that. Like, we were doing big four Brazilian death metal. Where even we already did that before. Where like some of these now you can even update the conversation, because a lot of people were pissed off that Christian was among the Brazilian big four. I mean, it made sense in my world. It was big four. You didn't exactly choose which band. It was just how popular they are. But so like to just kind of even go off that fan dynamic, and then maybe do more of the big underground four Brazilian, which probably was going to be the best way to word it in the first place, because the Brazilian scene's kind of odd as far as size. Like, Sepultura is, yes, early Sepultura would be in the same conversation as Volcano, but Volcano compared to Christian, I mean, no contest. Like, so you want to put that into that. So, having the converse like that, but then like new ones, like Big Four Australia metal bands, or maybe that one even might be an underground one to go. So, and I don't think we did do Japan before, so that would be for that. But then to kind of have the dynamic with Hellcast then, and use that more to get engagement. So like doing album wars with some of it. So like if it were the Brazilian one, Volcano versus Mystifier maybe. Because I think that's kind of a big thing now with Hellcast is the engagement it has. It's pretty engaging anymore, which was intentional, so that's cool. But it's also nice that people, it's done right too. Because you could do it wrong and nobody wants to talk to you. But so I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have this big well of new and exciting to tease. Because that's literally how it is. We got to do it. So what do we got?
Well, whatever way it goes, it's still great and awesome no matter what comes out. I still love it no matter what.
Well, I appreciate it.
Oh, of course, you're very welcome. Also, like, I did ask like a few people about this, but I don't know what their like opinion on it is. But have you ever seen the Lords of Chaos movie?
Yeah.
Like, what's your opinion on it? Because I always like to know how the people thought about it.
I'm not as upset about it as people. I mean, I'm not upset at all. I don't know. Was it authentic? No. Was it cringeworthy to see people we've seen in other movies be black metal? Yes. Did it entertain me? Yes. I thought the recreation aspect of like the photos, like death, kind of interesting. I thought it. So it's. All right, I'll put it to you this way. It was as disappointing, or no, not this, because disappointing bad word, because it didn't disappoint me. It was as good though as any new movie I've seen lately. Because as far as movies anymore, I'm on a recommendation only. basis. I don't even waste my time. I don't want to search streaming services to find some pure shit. I'm not this guy that's going to say only new horror or only old horror is real. I'm just the guy that's saying everything I've seen lately, regardless of when it came out, sucked. I don't want to waste my time doing it anymore. And so that was right there with it. Like anything that even had promise that was new to come out lately, I went and saw it, thought it sucked. So that was kind of just the same. Like I went to that, zero expectations, knew there would be cringeworthy aspects. Really everything I just said, that's what I got out of it. So I'd say it fits in there. You know, like that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Like, I love those books. Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
Yeah, I definitely know what movie you're talking about.
I mean, I love those books. For an idea of a movie to come out about that, fuck yeah. Comes out, whoa. What happened with that idea? I don't know how they fucked that one up, but they sure did. So, Lords of Chaos, not too surprised if it's got things we can complain about. I just didn't care as much because I kind of just assumed it would. So, entertained I was. Home Alone, Macaulay's brother, Euronymous, slightly cringeworthy. Because one of the problems was like, you know that movie Inglourious Bastards?
Oh yeah.
Tarantino.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they like made you read subtitles because that's how it would have been. Even though this is a pure fictitious movie, that's how it would have been. The French people would have spoke French, and it just gives a dynamic to the story when you do that. So for the fact of none of Norwegian people to be talking Norwegian, I heard an interview with Rory Culkin talk about being Euronymous, and he's like, and I listened to interviews of him, so I literally learned to, do how he speaks. And now look, I ain't Rory Culkin, I wasn't in Signs, so I don't get paid shit for anything that's acting worthy, but I've done some imitations, and people thought I was Chris Barnes. And if I would reverse engineer that, I would think, yeah, you do. You have to watch a bunch of interviews and stuff with to get the voice down. Chris speaks English, so that was pretty easy for me to do. Rory Culkin doesn't speak Norwegian, and Euronymous, I never heard the interviews where he's speaking English, and if he did, I would also throw this curveball there for you. He's not going to be, at least at that time, entirely the same person as he would have been, as this movie's embodying the day in the life of him, when he's speaking Norwegian. So, when he's doing annoying, cringeworthy stuff like, we're in a black little band, like, or whatever the fuck it was that he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, with his voice.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like
I know exactly what you mean. Like, when he was like, we play metal, true Norwegian black metal. Like that one.
Yeah. And he did, like, that weird thing, like, hey, Rory, was that in the tapes was that in your research with Euronymous? Because, like, Euronymous, he might have done that, but it would have been, sorry, Norwegians, like, a lordy, gordy, black, true black metal. He would have been speaking Norwegian. It wouldn't have had the same effect. Norwegian, that's my imitation of it, like, no disrespect to it, but the sound of it. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard it described by Swedish people, in fact, that's more like happy or something sounding. The point is, maybe that's where you get your black metal, and then you embody it to be this depicted version of them. That's, it makes now the church burning scene silly to me. So maybe I was a little bit upset by this. But I wasn't. I kind of expected that stuff. And maybe that's what everybody else expected, and then they were upset because they were that much more vested. That's why I'm not upset by it. I'm just not that invested in it. Like, I like the Norwegian stuff, but I'm not as huge a fan. Like, I was more of a Swedish death metal fan, or like thrash and stuff. So I'm just more intrigued by the story, know the story, and understand it enough to be like, yeah.
No.
But so
Yeah.
I would say that was the biggest offender And I don't. I mean, why admittedly throw bullshit in there though? I guess that's another problem. Like, we'll get the story right then. Like, it doesn't seem. I don't know. It just seems dumb if you're going to admittedly get it wrong. Like, why bother then? I don't like. We're watching the movie because we already know the bullshit, or we don't know nothing at all. And isn't bullshit worse than nothing at all? I would say bullshit kind of is worse than nothing at all. I mean, sometimes it can be fun.
Yeah.
Actually, all the time it's fun. Bullshit's fun all the time. That's why people like the news. You know? So I don't know. I got the same problem, I guess, with everybody else. Because I'd say they would at least summarize it probably the same way. So, or the bullshit aspect anyway.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like, when I was watching the movie, like, I knew what to expect too, because I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those Hollywood movies. They're gonna go way too far into trying to make it like cinema Hollywood like. And like, the one thing I just didn't like, that the story felt so inaccurate to what I've read and what I've watched in documentaries and pictures I've looked at of what it looked like in the real time. And then when I saw this movie, I was like, I don't feel like Euronymous was like this kind of innocent type of person who would, like, when he was getting killed by Varg, like, being like, oh, why are you killing me?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were my friend. I was like, that never happened. Like, I read the stories, and I was like, that never happened in the stories, like, of the actual time that event occurred. So I don't know why in the movie they had to make it look like that. It's kind of made it look silly.
Yeah, because it seems like everybody's fast forwarding to how they feel about everybody now, and wanted to incorporate that into how they depicted them in a movie that was supposed to be about them then. And I'm sorry, you can't. I mean, if you hate Varg, that's fine, but you can't depict him differently than how he was at the time, because you hate him now, because he did shit now, or he killed Euronymous, which really offended you, or he said some racist shit that really offended you. Like, if you're telling a nonfiction story, the person has to be the person that they were. I mean, isn't there even people missing in the movie, like, that are key players of the scene?
Well, actually,
Like,
yeah, there was a few people missing. I know that, and like I did, like, there was a few bands that were like even missing. Like, there was no mention of Dark Throne or Emperor, but there were shirts and vinyls being shown, but they never mentioned Dark Throne or Emperor.
Yeah, you're right. There isn't at all. I mean, maybe the director would tell you that was like because that's going to be a 5-hour movie, and and then there is to say that maybe Fenris, I don't know. I think it's from Oslo, but that's the point. Like, Fenris is from Oslo, where then Varg was from Bergen. And having been to Norway, they are like 6 hours and totally at the opposite end of the country. I know that much. That, maybe when it came to making that movie, it was like so many different cities connecting. So at least, maybe not for Fenris, he was in Oslo, and that's where all that took place. But maybe that was the reason why that guy actually was Bergen as well. So, I don't know. It's just confusing. But it would have still been cool, because actually somebody mentioned, like, why no mention of, like, Quartha, I thought. Because that could have been a more pivotal point. I mean, I don't know. Because the movie was definitely still about, I guess, more so mostly mayhem, right? So I guess when you do that, it's easy to edit a script. It does become slightly sensible sometimes to leave things out, because you, as a viewer, it is hard to, like, put a script crossing all these worlds. I mean, you could, probably end up like Pulp Fiction, and that would have been totally fine, because if it did end up like Pulp Fiction, where you don't know it's all out of order and shit, if you knew the scene, you'd be able to connect all those pieces, and, like, there's Quaranthon, in the background. But they didn't bother, so I don't know. So maybe I agree with all of them. Maybe I fully agree with the gripes there and didn't realize it. But yeah, so hopefully there isn't going to be any more Hollywood widespread movies, because I think that's everybody's problem, I think. they are going to inevitably get it wrong. And if the movie's going to be done, not even if they're going to get it wrong, not even if it's going to be, we're going to get another bunch of people that are famous that shouldn't be wearing metal shirts for visual aesthetic, but they do anyway. Culture out of these widespread movies, never mind all that. Like, it's just also like the story that should be told by a long format, because it is. It's, you know what I mean? It's a 5, like I said, like if they're going to get rid of Quorthon and Fenris, it's going to be a 5-hour movie. Well, then it's a fucking miniseries, man. Don't make the movie. That's why it's going to suck. So we don't need a movie. We need the Lords of Chaos miniseries. Figure out where that goes. My idea could be maybe someone that's good at filming with a YouTube channel could do that. But the point is, like, let it be to the communities that do exist, that now have the power to filmmake, to do it, rather than these shit Hollywood movies that are going to get it wrong, admittedly throw lies in there to what? Fluff everybody's clickbait interest. Like, that movie was already going to be well attended by the metal community. You didn't need to throw, you know, the Incubus shirt guy that doesn't know this world at all, but just, I heard of black metal, and then going out of that, and then, like, I never heard of any of these bands. When he's watching it,
oh yeah, that's something I also agree too, because now other people who are watching this film will probably be like, well, I never heard of any of these bands, and then when they watch it, they'll probably think that's what they were like, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. That's completely wrong.
And, I mean, if it's informing people, that's good too, but not in the cool friend with the great demos way that we want it to be. I mean, realistically, it's a fun question to ask people, but I think everybody in the metal scene agrees.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Or if they don't agree, like I said, like admittedly am not like offended by it. I still get anybody that is, like, get where they're coming from. And have had the same scenarios. Mine just so happens to be, in reality, when some guys comment on my shirt and I got to talk to them amongst ordering my chicken burrito. That annoys me more than Hollywood fucking up a movie.
No, I don't blame you for that. Like, sometimes I have to explain, like, one of my band shirts to somebody, and and I'm just like I have to, like, explain that they're a death metal band, and then sometimes, like, when somebody would be like, oh, metal, you mean like Metallica? And I'm like, no, there's some other bands besides Metallica out there.
Oh, yeah. That's going to last for quite a long time. Generations will be hearing that. At least it's better than some of the shit you could hear.
Oh,
you know, I remember growing up and it always being like either goth, like Marilyn Manson, or Limp Bizkit and stuff. It's like, oh, that couldn't be any more wrong.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. No, I can totally agree with you with that definitely. But no, but thank you for sharing your thoughts on the Lords of Chaos. I like to ask people what they think of that movie, because
Sure.
I definitely seen it for myself like a few times, but I like to hear what other people have to say, because I'm interested in exactly what they have to say, because I want to know, like, what they think of the film, or what they think could be better, or what they thought about it in general.
Yeah, I mean, I seen it once. That was good enough.
I actually saw it I saw it twice. I watched it one time by myself, and then I watched another time with one of my other friends.
Yeah. I mean, I maybe it's somebody's favorite movie. That's fine too.
Yeah, actually, he said he liked it, but then he thought it was like a little okay. Like, he was like, I like there was other movies I liked that were better. Like, there was this one movie from I think Iceland, I think it was called. It was like called Metalhead, but it was like called Mordhaus or something in that language.
Okay, I think I saw something that was from Finland. That was like a fictitious metal movie. I don't know, a lot of the film stuff just, it all has the same cringeworthy things. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me wonder anyway. Like, are none of the filmmakers like into this stuff? Because, like, it could be done. Like that death documentary wasn't
Mm-hmm.
cringeworthy. Somebody obviously that was in the death made that.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
You know, like a guy that I interviewed recently for Into the Darkness. Cam, his name. He in Canada. He's doing a movie about death metal.
Oh yeah,
He's good,
I'm,
right?
I'm looking
he's a
forward.
fan.
Oh yeah, I'm looking
So
forward
why
to that
can't
one.
he? You know what I mean? Like it should be people like that are doing the Norwegian,
Exactly.
death metal, black metal scene. So by the time the Swedish death metal movie comes out, like yeah, please let somebody independent do it that like is of fan stature. Let Daniel. I don't want to butcher his last name. That did the Swedish death metal book. Let him become some sort of filmmaker to put together at least the crew, because then it'd be done right.
Oh yeah, of course. Like like when you were speaking about like Cam, actually, I'm very good friends with that guy actually, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, and like actually, like I've been chatting with him for like, oh god, I can't even tell you how many I've been chatting with him for quite a while now, ever since I became friends with him, and that documentary that he's making, The Growl, I'm actually looking forward to that because I can tell
Yeah.
you that I can tell you this for sure that it's gonna be made perfectly because he's getting like all these huge like bands together to make this. So I know it's gonna come out to be something really mind blowing and actually something that I'm gonna be like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, because even when you do that kind of stuff, like your documentaries are just a style of film. So you would inevitably are obviously telling a story, or have control over the story through things that aren't just the people that said things. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Danny Lilliker's on there, so it's going to be authentic. Like, you could only feature Danny Lilliker in there for a minute, and then you could put Lemmy in there for the whole time. And it's just, so what the fuck does Lemmy know? Granted, he's dead. What could Lemmy have ever said about the Canadian thrash scene? You know what I mean? Yeah, Anvil, they were a good band. They weren't thrash, Lemmy, and I'm surprised you got the Canadian aspect right. Like, that's what that would be. And that's the quality of Lords of Chaos and things like that, is they just get, like, the Slash and Scotty in it and fuck it all up. And it's like, what is this guy? Why is he talking about finished death metal? Like, what does this have to do with it?
No,
So, yeah, Cam in there, though, he'll keep, Danny Lilliker will be in there for 20 minutes, in the hour movie, where then, fuck, I don't know, I'm drawing blanks. Barney Greenway will make an appearance, or, Chris Wrightford will properly be in it. It's like it'll be done right. So, there was no Slash, I heard Cannibal Corpse. It's like, you've heard of Cannibal Corpse Slash? What the fuck are you doing in this death metal thing? That's what they would do, like VH1 did a death metal documentary. It would start out with, like, all these clueless people that are just like, why the hell is this guy commenting on anything of this?
No, so like I don't know if you actually, I want to know if you actually agree with this too. But like one thing also I think I actually definitely didn't get why they did that in Lords of Chaos was why didn't Euronymous have a girlfriend? Because he never did ever in any writing or recording or any like aspect of his life. I don't know why they just put that in there.
I think I think there's like a rumor that he was gay.
Oh, actually, yeah, I remember hearing about that too. Actually, that's something I also heard as well.
So, maybe that's one of their. What did they say in the beginning of the movie? This is based on like lie. Well, they definitely use the word lies.
Oh yeah.
So maybe it was one of the other words that they used. Rumors was what, maybe that was one of them in there. I mean, I guess they're much of a difference, but
No, actually, I think.
so I don't know. Maybe that was their way of playing into that, where they're just like, we're going to be less blatant about things, but throw these aspects. Because what I mean, when you're making a film, whatever the belly shirt of Euronymous,
Oh yeah, that one.
key quality of him or not, you still have to write that in there. So, like, that could have been where they're just like, these are one of those lies or rumors we just want to, like, throw in there as an Easter egg. Like, we'll just make never have any sort of interest for those people that know the gay thought. That's my assumption. I don't even know. I don't know any way about it, really. If he was gay or not, I really don't even care.
Oh yeah, of course.
But that's my assumption, though. That's probably why they did that. Just like a little Easter egg.
Also, I think the motto of the movie was based on Truth and Lies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I can definitely understand where they're getting with that.
Yeah, because maybe I was hoping to think Truth and Lies kind of meant it was protecting them from getting called out on getting something wrong, because their stance could be, you or I know that, or had heard, and don't know and wonder still if Euronymous was gay or not, where maybe in Norway they just knew that it was a blatant fact and they're oblivious to the wonder of us. And then, so when it comes to writing a script, they're just going to be like, well, we know that some people think that. We're not going to have ability of telling them that's right or wrong. So why don't we just have fun and just play into that as like an Easter egg and make them wonder? Because bare minimally, then they can't call it out if we're admitting to having wrong qualities in there. Because there is going to be probably a lot in there that's like, people have bad memories, they're on drugs, they were kids, they forgot, they don't want to admit to it because maybe some of it was criminal. They have families now, they're Christian, they hate the ways of old. You know what I mean? There's going to be inevitable just lies through the people that have to tell these stories, that are going to be interviewed to be the source to even, write these scripts, these days in the life of that got to get wrong. And we just bitched about getting wrong. So, they're going to have some sort of focal point in at least explaining themselves if and when they do get it wrong. And that might have been their way up about that. So I would say that would be so for anything else in that, and if, one could obviously say, well, that's a cheap way of fucking up the story. Good job, Hollywood. Yeah, that could be too. So I guess at the end of the day, we won't know. But until there's the what are they called? The History Channel miniseries or whatever, or the Netflix miniseries now, because that's a popular thing anymore, where there's the movie, then there's the miniseries, then there's the movie again with the different actor playing the same guy that is going to be doing a better job now. So that'll be the miniseries. It'll be like the cartoon or the other thing that's throwing you off. So there'll be plenty of other opportunities to get right what was the sexual preference of Euronymous, if we so much care by the time we get there. But there you go. Maybe that was their way of answering it, though. We didn't want to tell you yes or no. We just won't cover it at all. No girlfriend, no boyfriend.
No, also,
this was lonely.
Let me think of that. I was going to ask. Oh, by the way, one thing I want to actually ask you is like that one thing that you were doing now, like on one of the episodes of Hellcast. Actually, I did like that idea of like playing the albums on different speed. I thought that was really pretty funny. Actually, I was like, wow, this sounds a lot faster than it sounds. Or it sounds like when you go on YouTube and you make the speed go 2x, and it makes it sound a lot faster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, that's a handy technique too for like getting through some tutorials or some how-to videos that you don't really want to be watching but need to be watching, and you just want to get to the point. Just 2x it. It takes a second to get used to it, but then you get used to it and you're like, fuck, I can follow everything they're saying. But yeah, that was that was an idea I've had for a long time. And just never, I save ideas, whether they be music or whatever I'm doing. Like sometimes if there's just certain ones that I know what I want to do with them full circle. And if I know they have a bigger circle than the one that I can give them right now, where it'll just kind of throw an idea down the toilet, or not even, you can revisit an idea all over, but it would in my head. So I don't want to do it. I'll save it until it's the right time. and this was the right time to do that because we needed a reason we needed a way to still play music, and we didn't, but I thought so. It makes it more interesting. And then not fuck up the YouTube world and all these stupid digital services that could then have the last word to say whether or not they're going to distribute your content. And so it's like, well, if you speed it up, that's been my trick, because I've used numerous bands like Slayer and Venom and stuff for the Hellcast soundbite intros, and the trick was just always pitch shift it and throw off this, and it won't recognize it. So it's like, oh, well, since I don't have the power to process all this, because that's like a project in post-production, like just do the fucking record player and put it on the wrong speed. And then because it gives you some sort of representation of music that if you're like, that sounds pretty good, what does it sound like on the right speed? Well, then you can go ahead and find it, because otherwise, if you didn't care, you're not going to look for it anyway. So why go through all this effort and then not have the episode potentially be distributed by playing the actual song? So it solved the problem, and hopefully a good segment, because we're going to be doing more of them.
I'm looking forward to that.
Hopefully people liked it, but people have said they liked it, so I'm happy to hear that, though. It's fun, Oh,
yeah. Actually, I got an idea. Maybe you could take this idea, maybe use it just once on one of your podcasts. How about songs in the slowest speed? Like, how can you recognize the song when it's really slow?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I
something
remember
like that.
I kind of did do that, and that was more of the post-production one, so it could really get in there, and you could do some fun stuff to it. Where, yeah, there you go. That's actually kind of right in there. It was like Doom versions of bands, essentially, when you slowed it really slow. And so, because the cool thing is, because when you put a record on the wrong speed, what happens with pitch are two things that can happen anyway. If you do the record on the wrong speed, or the reels that spin too slow, you're messing with the speed of it as well. So the duration is going to be longer. So thus, the pitch is going to be lower. Or however, on a computer, you can just alter the pitch where it won't alter the speed. It retains the speed. And that's more sophisticated, because obviously the real world way of it is just literally just slowing it down. So you can do the Doom version of certain bands then, because you can retain certain qualities that otherwise, when it's just the really, really slow spinning record, it should, it's nothing. So it's a little bit of it's a little more involved, but yeah, definitely the Doom versions. They would just, I guess what I'm saying is they would have to not be the records on the wrong speed. It would have to be that more processed way, because I've done it and it is more fun. And there are some hilarious results, especially vocally, of how they sound then. Oh yeah, you get some Barry Manilow in there.
No, also let me think about this, because I want to see also I'm just suggesting some of these just to see maybe if you think it's a good idea, but since you did the Doom and the fast stuff what about making it even taking a death metal song and even doing it faster it's it's 1 second and you'd be like, oh, I couldn't even hear what the lyric was or what the sound was, but they have to still guess what it is.
Yeah, the Guess Who is a great idea no matter how you present it. So maybe that's one of the aspects of how you present it. Is it's like a lifeline where you can get the 1 second clip, or you could get the lyric read to you. That's a good idea. Guess Who, and then you got these lifelines, and then by the time you use them up, which would probably be pretty quickly, to where you're stumped you know what I mean? Where it would just be the duration, the shorter duration. You wouldn't really want a 20-minute. Maybe you would. I don't know. But you maybe want a 20-minute skit of that. So where maybe it would kind of give it to the 5 minutes that it needs to be, but be that much more effective. Be still the fun that it could reoccur.
Oh yeah, no, I would love to actually see that because I was like when I was watching it first, I was like, oh, what if they did it like this way or something? I can imagine what their reactions would be for that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm gonna jot that down.
Oh, please do. I would really love to actually see that. I want to be like, oh crap, that's actually exactly the way I pictured it.
Oh well, then we could screw it up. We could pull a Lords of Chaos on you on that one, but I like the idea. Pitched anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, so like one thing I want to ask actually, like I remember like these are like old like videos back in the time, but like during like I think like the like maybe the mid like late like 2012 maybe 2013 time, but like you were the one like in that like that Hell's Headbangers uniform, like the one with the goblin and all that, like the mascot
Oh yeah.
for it. Like I was thinking like that was actually I think that was like really impressive the way you thought of actually doing that and representing the albums. I was like that's really creative.
Yeah, that was me. There were a few people in it, but for the most part, yeah, that was me. Like, and they're still on there too. Like almost like a lot of the Hell's Headbangers shirts. And you see that monster guy. I mean, you could tell the different bodies when there are, but a lot of them are me. I mean, I was just doing the Call of Duty though. We need somebody to wear the shirt when we take a photo of it. Does it have to be me? Yes. Great. So that's how that came about, honestly. I had to do it again now. I think the Incantation merch store is going to be all me, too, as far as their shirts. Because Hell's Headbangers is helping them out, like fulfilling their orders or whatever. So the product images is like, we need a placeholder. You go slap on these colored shirts and do whatever the hell later on when we need them. It's like, great. So, needless to say, it was not. That's not my most preferred thing, but yeah, there you go. There's more to throw in that identity folder. Yeah, one of these stupid photos you wouldn't otherwise remember. Hell, I forget.
No, also like one other thing is like when you were like also back then like when you were also doing like those cool heavy metal relic videos. Like one thing I liked a lot was like the old vintage black metal ones, like with the old like the vinyls and then like some of the CDs. Like when you were talking about like the split between Mayhem and Morbid, and then the other one with Hades, and then you were saying it was like Hades Almighty back then, like before that. And also one thing that really caught my most attention was the vinyl with the called Mayhem. It was called Mayhem. Like it was a Mayhem vinyl, and it was of Lord Satan's Mysteries. Actually, that one really caught me by surprise. Actually, by that because I never knew that even existed.
Yeah, well, and it's one of the many bootlegs of the Dead era, but a more a rare recording that it hasn't been bootlegged a zillion times. Kind of like Dawn of the Black Hearts demo. That's been pure fucking Armageddon, Death Crush. Where that I don't know. I mean, I'm not like some huge Mayhem aficionado. It's more so the metal encyclopedia that I spoke of earlier, and then seeing these multiple versions, come through the door and stuff, where I've never seen that recording like widespread. That I have seen that like now new bootlegs of that were like a CD of it, but yeah, I forgot where I got that, but I've had that for a few years or a while now, but and it was just one of those things that was more so my taste of black metal. Because I remember that video where like somebody was actually requesting, and then it was like I'm just not the hugest fan to, especially at the time maybe to have done the video as well as I wanted the videos at least to have their retaining takeaway qualities of. So I wanted to be at least honest, and so it made a better story, I guess, by having those, because that's like the story of it. But that's a really cool, it's a really cool bootleg. It even has a poster in there. I don't know if I showed the poster.
Actually, yeah, you did show the poster off in that video.
Did it? Okay. Yeah, it's because then there's all that Dead artwork in it. So somebody that really likes Dead had it, had that stuff too.
Oh yeah, I actually I was trying to find like that exact vinyl with the poster in it, but I couldn't find it actually because I think it's because of its rarity and how rare it is. But like also like, but I do know that not recently, not long ago, I remember Hell's Headbangers released a picture disc version of that, so I was able to actually have a chance to find and get that one.
Hell's did?
Yeah, they actually have a picture disc version of that exact album.
Oh, cool. I haven't been working there for a few months now, so that must have been more recently.
Oh yeah, they just released it not long ago, but I remember going on in the Mayhem section on it, and I was like, oh, they actually have the picture disc version. I couldn't find the original one that with the poster and all that, so I was like, you know what, I want to get this one. So I did because I'm like a really huge Dead Mayhem fan. So I was like, you know what, I need to get my hands on this one.
Oh, cool. Well, then great, because that's a cool release. The music on it. Obviously there's music in these circles. So have you heard it before?
Yeah, actually no, I didn't hear it before, but now I finally did because I purchased that picture disc.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool recording, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like it's so clear though too. I like when it's like a nice clear recording, so I can hear like the instruments pretty well, and um, I can appreciate what like the sound quality was like back in the day, like when they were like still putting out those demos and everything. So that's something I really appreciate a lot when it comes to that.
Yeah. Well, there it is. That's the glory days of like kind of some of the demo stuff. Like, I don't know. I always liked getting bootlegs and stuff that were good quality, because you could still buy records from the bands for whose discography you've already had everything, like, because you don't want that experience to end. So it's like when you find like, holy shit, and then it's got Dead's, or it's the picture disc version of the bootleg that I still can't find, but I'm still looking for. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cool, so the nostalgic value is appeased. A lot of that is one of the things that kind of stinks about the demos and stuff being on YouTube. I think it kind of maybe diminished a little bit of that, but
Yeah.
they're still happening. Some of the cool bootlegs and stuff, and then people are also pissed off about them as well, which I don't know. It's not my thing to call the shots of. Like, if there's a cool Mayhem bootleg, I'm sorry, I don't know who's supposed to be in charge of this or who got screwed where. All I know is there's a cool Dead picture disc that I wanted to
get. Oh, of course. Also, like, besides metal music, like, what other things are you also into? Like, what other hobbies do you really enjoy a lot?
Lately, it's been freaking doing house projects. I moved recently, so I don't get to indulge on these because I guess they're very just grown-up activities of just like being outside and shit. So like I like gardening and crap. So like growing, making salsas and all that. So kind of like to chill out through doing more peaceful things, I guess, if I'm not going to be dealing with a bunch of noise. So like I live right on a park too, so I like to go hiking and stuff, and just kind of be outdoors. Like, it's not really anything more simple than that, and then that even kind of embodies still more of the music. It's like chilling outside with a beer or whatever, want to jam some stuff. I'm not like totally nerdy about it and like get into brewing my own, but I do like exploring and venturing and finding new craft beers to try. So I guess that. Uh, I have a family, so obviously spending time with them. Um, Otherwise, it just goes right back to the stuff, I mean, until I was disappointed with a lot of the newer ones, I do like to horror a lot, and do like to venture on new to me horror movies. It doesn't matter when they came out, but I do seem to find that the older that they can be usually the year, because I even go as far back as like silent stuff. Like, I love the original Nosferatu and Phantom of the Opera. Um, like Lon Chaney original, before even Lon Chaney Jr. doing Wolfman stuff. I love the story and stuff that goes behind that. I love that era because it it's like it's got less of a it doesn't have the behind the scenes YouTube video for it. You don't, so there's a lot more that adds to the mystique that makes that like Nosferatu character, Phantom of the Opera character, like creepier. And then I love even what goes into it, like knowing the story of Lon Chaney being the man of 1,000 faces and stuff, and that early Hollywood kind of history. So I guess like being historical, history in some right is an interest, but it's particular topics, and they all do seemingly have some sort of metal correlation. Not to try to be like that cool guy that's metal everything, but like it just kind of, even in normal life stuff, the apple doesn't seem to fall too far from the tree, and it is still more or less like the culture that even makes metal stuff. But like honestly too, like, even like I really like the craft of recording audio and video. So I'm really interested in when I can put the time to like learning more technique, at least in bettering that, because there's always more stuff to learn, and if it could at least be something brand new that's like, oh my god, or if it's somebody's workflow that's just like, holy shit, that's way faster. Why didn't I think of that 3 years ago? There's so much stuff out there, but especially it's helpful then too. Obviously, I use that toward what I do, but it's just definitely a real big interest for me, and it doesn't matter if it is metal or whatever on it. Like, I'm interested in that stuff alone. So I guess that. But like I said, it all correlates with it somehow, some way or another. So I guess that's the bittersweetness, because if you want a break, you don't really have many areas of interest there going to allow you that break from it. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty boring, I guess.
Then I would not say that. If you're interested in whatever you like to do, then that's something you like to do, and I find it very interesting.
Cool.
Like,
I'll be doing it regardless.
Let me think what else I was gonna ask you. Also, like, one horror there's a couple of horror franchises I like. For me, I like the Saw and Texas Chainsaw franchise. Like, I like those kind of like really like when it comes to Texas Chainsaw, I always enjoyed like the whole like an abandoned like farmhouse in the middle of Texas, and this chainsaw wielding guy, which is really cool because then that Leatherface had like an origin story, so I like that a lot too. And
so you're talking about the newer ones then too, obviously.
Yeah, some of those. Also, yeah, exactly. Both like the old ones and new ones, because I like when like they come together and then you're like, oh, okay, now I understand why he's like this and all that. It's really
right.
really catches my attention a lot. And also for the Saw movies, like I just like how each movie has like a plot twist at the end that connects everything together and all that. Like like this person was involved in this, and then this person was there at that moment, but you never noticed it. And then some of the mystery behind like the person who has to like survive these traps, and the one who's the victim of like everything that's being tested. Like that's something I really find interesting, that each movie connects to like the next one, or this one happened like in the middle between this one. I like really think that's really a smart like thing when it comes to that franchise because I like when it's all connected and somehow.
No, I agree. I like that in storytelling in general. But it seems to be, well, at least my favorite kind of way of that. I don't know if it has a special name, like, like grindhouses, like when you say that, like, film aficionados know what that means. But I guess I'd call it the anthology. And it was mostly like in the 70s and earlier on, were basically like the first Tales from the Crypt, or the first movie of Tales from the Crypt. Before it was like Richard Donner and the Crypt Keeper. It was like just the British, almost Hammer horror studio doing it, where it was essentially a plot that then that got you to tell more stories. So it was more episodic inside this anthology, because then, when these people are trapped inside this cavern and they see this figure in black, he starts telling Joe why he got here, and then Cloud, and then it goes into another story, the story in which happens to actually even come from Tales from the Crypt comics from back then. That's how that connection is. But it tells like 4 different stories inside the movie, and then when it's all done from this figure in black telling them, then it wraps up, well, who is this figure in black and these people, that story as well. So I always liked that, and there's a few movies like that, Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Asylum, and they're all from that time period. So I've always kind of liked that anthology kind of approach. And it's shorter. You don't have to dedicate a whole weekend to watching it. But I do appreciate it too. Because I would love it to be, for me, that I love that quality, but it's not available to me in the stuff that I like. Like the closest I got, because I don't like those Texas. I like just the first Texas Chainsaw, the original.
Yeah, the old 1974 version.
Yeah, where I would love to like them all and feel the same way as you would, because I do like the character of Leatherface and want to go through that. I just don't, and I'm honest with my family. Where then, like, the closest I do get to the point of accepting the turds that come with the franchise is Halloween. Because I'm just so vested with Michael Myers' character that I'll even suffer through the turds. But I don't even do that. Like, I'm too honest for that, too. I'm not watching number 5. That mask was horrible. I can't do that. That's a waste of a Sunday, watching that. But I do own them. I'll dare myself to watch them. Maybe I'll watch the special features or something. I'll still celebrate it. So I definitely know what you mean, and could appreciate, that for what, I just do. Like, I'm just a picky asshole that that doesn't, like Hellraiser's the same way. There's like 20 of them. I want to like all 20 Hellraisers. I just can't get past the first one. Like, the first one's the only one I like.
Let me think. Have you ever saw the movie I think it was Horrendous, or actually what I think it was called, or it's like a movie that was like back in 2018, and it was like, I think it was called Horrendous, or no, it wasn't Horrendous. It was called Hereditary.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Well, what did you think of that? I thought it was really creepy.
It was one of those movies that kind of helped set up. Well, it did appease the recommendation. They said that I was already on a recommendation only status because everybody loved that movie and was talking about it. So I was like, all right, that's recommendation enough. It was good. I watched it twice because I don't know why. It wasn't because I liked it that much. I think I was looking more. I was giving it another chance. I think that's what it was. Because I was disappointed. The ending, like, oh, that was my reaction. Because everything else was really good. Like, when that girl just dies, like, her head gets bashed off, like, totally unexpected. I was like, oh, wow. Like, I think I even literally said that out loud. So that's honesty, And movies don't do that, so I don't You know what I mean? Like I had like the horror movie that I did see. Who knows what that was? It didn't wow me literally to the point of saying out loud. Maybe that's why I watched Hereditary twice, because it's like it had wow qualities, but it also did have. I think I did literally do that out loud too. Like when at the end when it was just the witches in the house. Like I don't know, aliens and witches are always the cheap. Like I think I'm laying into this director a little too hard, because there is the other thing. I'm going to program my brain this way because I do want to really like that movie because it was so well done. There was some really nice looking cinematography. There was an wow moment, and so it's got qualities. The actress in there, the mother, she's really good. I mean, she definitely, like, hell, she makes that movie because when you watch her, you just like don't feel right the whole damn time. So there's some really great qualities about it, but like I just think like maybe I was sold short with the witches or whatever the hell kind of aspect at the end, or the cult, witches cult, whatever the angle was. But their angle could have been like, "Fuck you, man. We're doing that on purpose because we want to bring that old vibe back." Because that would be my gripe. Like, this has been a zillion times. That's what I was expecting it to be, and oh god, it was. Like, that was a quality that I didn't like in the ending, when that could have been their gimmick. Is like, whoa, we actually got a good cinematographer, a good director, a great actress, and a wow moment. We're going to use that same mold in a good movie now because we've got every shit movie that's done this. Because that witch movie was the same way. Everybody loved it. And then when I saw Jack Sparrow, Satan at the end there, I was a little bit disappointed. And the Cauldron of Witches is like, oh, this is the ending. Sorry if you like that movie.
It's okay. Like, you know, I thought it was good and all, but like some parts I was just like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, another one everybody loved was Midsummer.
Oh yeah, I think I heard about that one. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I definitely.
It was the same guy that did Hereditary. I watched it. I don't want my money back. It worked. I don't need to watch it again because I like The Wicker Man more. Not with Nicolas Cage, the one with Christopher Lee. And I felt that was the exact same movie. And so my gripe is kind of rooted because it's that same director. Then I've studied this. I'm not just throwing this out there to be a dick. Like, I really wanted to like that. And I thought about it. I gave this guy a chance. But then he did it again. And then he did that Midsummer movie. I'm like, this is fucking Wicker Man, dude. Like, down to the big, like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming at the end. I'm like, that, I did. Like, that was like, I so saw it coming. I was like, fuck, if he does that, man, like, this is just a blatant Wicker Man ripoff. And he did it. Oh. So, I mean, it based in Sweden. So it was fun. It was fun with that, though. Throwing some Swedish culture in there. Otherwise, it was Scotland for the other one, for the Christopher Lee one. So I don't know. Like, you know, like I said, like, it's kind of hypocritical to say this and then rewind the 3 hours ago. It probably was that we've been talking that I said that, you know, it's great to have YouTube because it keeps the metal scene alive. Because, you know, maybe this is the keeping alive storytelling. Because I was happy that they remade Nosferatu in 1978. Because it's like, fuck yeah, it was 50 years later. Like, we got to keep that story going. And then 1978 was 50 years ago, so we got to keep that story going. And they did. They did, like, Willem Dafoe and did, like, the making of Nosferatu in a movie. And it was called Shadow of the Vampire. And it was pretty cool. So, you know, like, I like that stuff on there, but I don't know. I guess it's just me thinking aloud. But so, yeah, but hopefully that gives you some examples, though, of the more of the anthology-esque qualities and movies that I'm more into, I guess.
Oh, of course. No, I definitely know exactly what you're talking about, actually, because for me, actually, I graduated college just last year with a degree in film and broadcasting, so that's
cool.
that's like one of my big fields that I'm actually in because like I've been teaching, like not teaching, I've been like actually been learning actually like a lot about like film and like behind the scenes of things like cameras, different types of like angles where like at certain moments where you should like record this, or how
Yeah.
like you could tell that this is like a green screen or like a fake thing that they're doing in the movie.
Oh yeah.
So
Hair especially.
oh yeah, I was like able to like even today like I remember my professor was like, once you're done with this class, you're never gonna see TV and movies the same. And ever since
I was
that,
just gonna say it ruins you
it does. It
because
really
you even
does.
see it in big blockbuster movies that you're like, oh my god, they're gonna get the like like right now like I got a little bit of frizz like you like that oh my they're gonna have some sort of beautiful technology that'll keep all the frizz and then you see like he didn't even get the frizz man like he did such a bad job with the glow because that's your problem when you're doing green screen like have to have depth because then the green could then glow around your edges. And for some reason, Photoshop can be a magic click of the same color and it'll get every tone and variation. But green screen, nada. So it still will get any little bleed. And then it's like hair is the worst offender because then all the frizzies will just be like sucked down, and you would have never thought like, you would have just been like, oh, well, fine, I'll make it look like he's wearing gel. So it's like, well, it doesn't have that effect. So frizzies are really important for a natural look, and if you get rid of them, whoo-wee. That's a bad-looking green screen. But people have gotten worse. I've seen it on TV shows and stuff. Yeah, oh my God, man, it ruins a movie if you can see a shit green screen.
Like I've been able to pinpoint that. Like I remember watching. I was like, it was just this is just like a random thing. That was just on. Like there was like this. They had like I was just on TV. Just I would say like sometime last month. Like it was that old
Yeah.
movie by Tom Hanks. That movie Castaways actually with him being on the island. And I was looking at this background, and I was like, I could tell that this is a set because the things look so plastic, and the way that it's the water and the angles of like the sky. I was like, nah, this is a set. The person who edited this did not really look like they took that much time to like clear up the backgrounds and everything. I could definitely tell this is a set.
But you hear about how awesome Tom Hanks' performance is.
Oh yeah. So that's the best
It's
thing.
like,
That's
where the budget was.
basically, yeah.
Buck Franklin looking real. Yeah, it's. I saw it. We turned off the movie yesterday. Watching it because like when you once you get into After Effects, then it ruins even more. And so, like, it was just this cheap shot horror movie that ruined itself with the first, like, once there's a jump scare, man, click. I don't bother with these movies anymore, man. I can't do it. Because it's like the Incubus shirt guy. If you're not if you're the same offender for the jump scare and don't realize, stop doing that. Your movie's going to suck. It's easy for me to assume. And I was fine, whatever. I'll give one jump scare. But then the bad After Effects composition came out where, like, this girl had, like, this fly coming out of her eye and then crawling on her face. It was so bad. It was good. Like, when it came out of her eye, it was, like, so evident in the shadow that's like, oh, my God, what did you put this on? Like, this looks worse. It looks really bad. But then when it crawled on her face, I was like, holy shit, it looks really good. So... But like, you just see that it's really bad, and that's supposed to be one of the like I don't think it was supposed to be like one of the scary moments, but it was supposed to be one of the establishing moments, and it's just like I can't be, and then in suspense when it's supposed to be scary, because I'm like, what is it going to be? The Fly? Because if it's The Fly, like, how bad is it going to look when it's supposed to scare me? And what jump is it going to have that's going to be like, oh God! And the funny thing is, like, it just gets to a point where, like, you're not even doing it. Like, man, I'm at home alone, or not alone, but like I'm at home. I'm not trying to impress anybody. Then literally, it just shoots out of your mouth. Like, oh my God, let's just turn this off. and then it is. So that was, but yeah. Yeah, that's the bittersweetness though of getting into the industry stuff. Because records, same deal, man. Oh my God! I mean, I was already scared to records that I didn't like how they sound, like classic ones. Sodom, Persecution, Mania. I'll take that to the grave. Don't like it. Don't like how it sounds. And then when you get into like knowing it more, then like that record, not in particular, but there's been ones that's like, oh my god, this just sounds so bad. So it ruins it. So.
Oh yeah, no, I can definitely agree on that. But like, have you ever saw the movie? Like, I don't know if you liked this movie or you thought it was like, yeah. But like, have you ever saw the movie The Blair Witch Project? Like the old one, the very first one.
Yeah, and that is a good. Yes, I have seen it. I like it. I like it because at the time I saw it in a cabin, and I was like 12, so I was creeped out. So that will stick with me. It won't be like The Fly jump scare drill. So if it was a shitty attempt, or maybe it's dated at this point, it got me back then, and I think it's still and it retains. You know, I mean, 'cause I don't know if it would scare me now, but it still has some sort of quality to it. But I think that's still the 12-year-old in me getting scared for attention. I mean, not scared out of the sheets, but you know what I mean? Like it sets the tone.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You gotta set the tone. But it's filmmaking. You gotta set the tone. Like The Fly shouldn't look like shit. It shouldn't have jump scares relying on music. You know what I mean? It should be Jack Nicholson in The Shining, or the lady in The Hereditary, where it's like the acting is sucking me in. Like this woman does not make me feel right. You know, Jack Nicholson's pissed off about something. He hates his family. I don't know why, but it's 10 minutes into the movie, and then when the movie's over, you still don't know why. But that's why it's a good movie, you know? So, shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that's why Castaway got away with it. Because it was Tom Hanks. He sucked you in. He was talking to Wilson. Or Franklin, or whatever the hell he called the ball. It's been a few years. I got to go back.
Have you ever seen the movie Dead Alive or no?
Yes. At first I got really excited, though, because I thought you were talking about Dead and Buried, which is great. Dead Alive, Peter Jackson, right?
Yes.
It was too much of the gore stuff. And not because I was grossed out, but like too much of like, where's this going? Like, 'cause I just remember everybody dying and winding up in the cellar of that movie.
It's
been a while, though, since I've seen it. Maybe I'll love it.
Oh no, before I never saw it actually because I wanted to see what it was like. Because the thing that caught me on to wanting to see that movie was because it was like featured in like Lords of Chaos basically. Because Faust the character who was in that movie actually he was watching that in Helvete in the movie. So I was like, I wonder what this horror movie was about. So I was like, you know what, I want to see what this movie was about. So then I looked it up online and then like for some trivia stuff. And then it said,
do you know Dead and Buried, the movie?
Not really, no.
Oh, look that one up. That's a great movie. From 1980 something. Pat O'Bannon or something, who went on and wrote the first Aliens, wrote that script for that movie. But it's kind of a long. It's not a B movie, but I guess maybe it is a B movie, but it's good quality. Robert Englund's in it, but he's like a small role, and nowhere to the effect of Freddy. And it's just awesome. Basically, it's this remote coastal town, and they're like a vacation spot, and it seems like all the people that are showing up to vacation there are winding up dead. And then more and more weird stuff happens. It gets weirder, though. And I don't want to say anything more, because you've got to see the movie, and then as you find out, that's totally like the plot of it. But Dead and Buried, fucking awesome movie, man. That band, Temple of Void, their guitar player Mike, he was in Acid Witch, and I remember when he started there, he was hitting me up to check out Temple of Void, and it turned out they also did a song based upon that movie, because I had done a Crucified Mortal song. For whatever reason, I was describing how I really liked that movie, and it was a song that I did. He's like, holy shit, we did a movie too, so If you like Temple of Void, Acid Witch, or any of my stuff, Dead and Buried. It's been in there.
I'll definitely check it out.
You know the Crucified Mortals song "Ghastly Affliction"?
Ghastly Affliction. Yeah, I think I definitely remember listening to that song.
That's about that.
Oh wow, I never even knew actually. Thanks for telling me. Actually, I'm surprised.
Yeah, there's a few like Crucified Mortals songs that they're referenced to movies or like really, really, really close. Then there's like then there's other ones. It's like more history and shit. But yeah, Dead and Buried. Fuck yeah.
I would definitely check it out. Now I'm interested in actually checking it out. What it's gonna be.
It's awesome. So no bad green screen in that. There might be some 80s cheese, but the awesome kind, Yeah.
Like I
want to watch it
now. Like I'm always looking for like new horror films to look at. Like I was trying to I never got to it yet, but it's on my recommendations list to actually watch it because I want to see it so badly. It's like these old horror films called like The Gates of Hell and Zombie.
Oh yeah.
Like I want to see those.
The Gates of Hell might be harder for you to find though because it's more so released. My DVD, it's called City of the Living Dead.
Oh yeah, I remember. They changed it actually for a reason. I think I remember.
A lot of the Italian stuff is like that. So like even Dawn of the Dead in Italy is called Zombie 2.
Oh, okay. So that's why they call it Zombie 2. I thought it was just they just named it Zombie.
It's because of the movie Zombie, and for whatever reason, Dawn of the Dead. I'm pretty sure, because I guess it's really fucking expensive now. Anything Dawn of the Dead, I guess, is like the original. Where I have the box set though, I remember when the DVD came out. Anchor Bay, I think, put it out of the box set of Dawn of the Dead, where it has the European version, which is a different edit that Dario Argento did, and then George Romero's theatrical cut, and then the uncut version, which has with the most gory zombies. Like that was always a bootleg, actually. It's the footage with the gorier zombies, they would always call it. I remember buying it on eBay, and it pissed the guy off because I got it and it was just the normal version. And I called him out in the eBay feedback, and then he threatened to sue me. And I was like 13, so it worked. I got scared. But anyway, they put that edition out, and it's awesome. But apparently at this point, when it was like, it was like $50 when you could get it. Where now it's like hundreds. It's out of print. It's so cool, man, because it comes with the comic book then. I didn't know there was a comic of it. So I absolutely love that movie. And so it tells the reason why, because Dario Argento was involved with the movie as a whole. But when it was released in Italy, I think, because it had Dario Argento's name on it as far as editing and I think even directing, it was a Dario Argento's film in Italy anyway, and Dawn of the Dead made no sense as far as a saying and the translation. So they just called it Zombie. And then, so there was already a Zombie, so Zombie 2. Which Zombie's a great movie too, if you haven't seen that.
No, I'm actually, like I said, I have a lot of horror films I'm even recommending myself to watch. Like, also another movie, like an old horror film, like House by the Cemetery, I want to see.
Actually. Just watched that the other day.
Oh, really? Oh, how is it, actually? Because that's one of my big recommendation movies for me to watch.
Oh, it's full of some great 70s Italian horror cheese. So the cast that all speak different languages, but then overdubbed. It's alternately English, but then English is overdubbed for whoever didn't. I think it's even overdubbed for those who did speak it, because the sync sucks. It's hilarious, and then the voice choice is like, that little boy doesn't sound like that. It sounds like a woman doing like a little boy, 10-year-old boy's voice. So it's great and all of that, but then the storytelling's awesome. The monster, the soundtrack, the cover. Oh, it's everything. It's everything that's great about horror, man. You can't have horror with a shit cover.
Oh, yeah. No,
and then when you have those old ones where they have those cool posters, it's just everything, it encompasses everything.
Oh yeah, like those old horror films, like like those posters that would be like, oh, like banned in 50 countries, like this unbelievable, like intense
Yeah,
gore, like that.
whatever. You know what I mean? The tag or the taglines, because that was like that's what people are bitching about when they say there's no new horror. Like, because realistically, that like taglines and cool aspects, posters, that's been horror since the 30s, since the 20s, and then it went all the way to the 80s and stuff. Why did we stop? Because we did stop. We stopped in the 90s. Everybody, like, with Scream. Look at the cover on that. It sucks. It's the cast of the movie to the point of people that aren't even in the damn movie. Like, literally, I remember staring at the Scream cover because, I was, like, I don't know when that came out, and I like it. But, like, I remember staring at the cover, like, trying to find, like, certain people, like, bare minimally, they look different on the cover. If not even in the movie at all. Like, Drew Barrymore. She's, like, in there for 3 minutes. Like, why is she on the cover? Like, that would have been a way cooler cover if it had Ghostface on it, and then it was like a painting, and then it was them, like, shocked, but instead it's just this stupid photo. Like, and that was the time. Like, then because they kept doing that. Like, the movie sucked, by the way, but like Halloween H2O, we didn't have that in the Halloween discography or filmography before. We had fucking sweet covers, even on 5 and 6, which were horrible movies. 4, 5, and 6, horrible. Covers are kind of cool. But then when the damn H2O comes out, like, you just knew the movie was going to continue to suck and be a product of its time. Because it had that stupid fucking cover. It's got Michael Myers, and then it's got everybody depicted. When it's the Scream cover again, then it's that other dumb movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, it was every freaking 90s horror movie. And then, then they pushed it even further, because then there's Creed in Halloween. Why is there Creed in Halloween? There should be no Creed in any movie, let alone Halloween. So yeah, I don't know why I was going off in that tangent. Oh, because it's like, why did we abandon that? It wasn't like it was like switched out for an awesome idea. I think collectively, if nobody then thought it was a bad idea, we now know that it is with the retro movement. Because everybody does that. The old, like, if you had an album with an old horror movie looking poster on it, people love it. Like, if you did a horror movie right now and you did, like, qualities of the 30s to make it look visual, people would love that. Fuck, I want to do that. Shit, that'd be awesome. Like, make a silent horror movie in 2020. Why not? That'd be way cooler.
It would be, and also not just that, it'd also be kind of creepier because you're not hearing everyone, like,
exactly.
like talk and all that. You just have like piano music, or maybe not just piano music, but like
right.
like an orchestral like musicians, like it, like right in front of you, like you're like in a packed theater, and like you say, like an orchestra and a piano, and then the screen, and it's like they're playing like this horror like music into it, but there's like no voices into the movie, and you're just depicting it from the musical aspect of how creepy that's turning out to be, and what the vibe of what you're getting into it is.
Dude, I was alluded to that idea when I started collecting versions of Nosferatu and noticing each one's different. They're drastically key points, character names different because of the Bram Stoker Dracula thing is why the character names. Because then, I mean, you got to keep in mind, like, this is a 100-year-old movie. So the whole plagiarism thing, that was, like, in the 30s. Well, people got over that by 1937 when it finally was released in North America, or at least in America. It came out. New York was, the first screening in New York was, like, in the 30s, like 7+ years after the movie came out in Germany because of the whole plagiarism thing. So people were over that fact. Nearly 100 years by the time it came out on DVD. So what they failed to think about is the 60 to 70 years of a non-DVD world that this was fucked up out the gate, but then furthermore through bad record keeping, that when you get this cheap collection of horror movie DVD set in the bargain bin at Walmart for $10 that has 70 horror movies, that version of Nosferatu on there, yeah, you're right. it is shit as far as how it looks visually. They did the worst transfer ever. But that they didn't stop there either. The music's different. It's like some quirky organ. The dialogue could be different because it's German translated. So maybe you got maybe the fucked up ones. I've seen those ones, poorly translated ones, to where then they screwed up the characters. It's not even Count Orlok as it's supposed to be in the Nosferatu world. It's Count Dracula. It's back to the plagiarized version that Nosferatu, the original, should never be. It should never be Count Dracula. Because if it was originally the original, that wouldn't have been there. That was the whole reason why it got fucked in the first place. So that there's versions like that, though. They call him Count Dracula on there. You know, they flip-flop Harker to be Jonathan then. Like, it goes back to what they switch names as to appease the plagiarism to then the plagiarized Dracula world is what happens. But what I was really saying was the music. When I got the version that was like the ultimate version where they went and found at least what they could find, which was only like one page of the original score. Because the music wouldn't have been embedded in the movie back in 1927 in Germany, in Berlin, Germany, where they had the premiere of the movie for the first time, before anybody got plagiarized and ultimately destroyed it. And regardless if that ever happened, any music for like until the 40s would have never been recorded. It would have had to been performed. That's pretty cool if you think about it. So if you really saw, like, nobody's ever seen Nosferatu the right way that it was supposed to be seen, but the people that saw it in Berlin, Germany in 1922. That's kind of cool if you think about it. And so largely, even though they found this sheet music and then got an orchestra to perform it, and then they recorded it, they had to fill in the blanks and did a very good job of figuring out things. I think they took the composer and did some of his other scary sounding works and then threw it all in there. Nevertheless, when I saw that version of Nosferatu, I was like, holy fuck, man. Music is everything, especially in the silent movie world. Because it was amazing. Like, the cues were there. Like, where the other shit, it's just so half-assed, where it's like, it's been the same organ music playing for the last 20 minutes that Harker he went to Transylvania and back. And we're still sitting, like, it never got suspenseful when Nosferatu walked in. You know what I mean? But when he fucking walks in the door for the first time, and you see him just oh my god, the cue of the music's there, so it's just like haunting. It's awesome. I've even seen a band perform it live then with their own rendition of it, and that was even like, so the power, they nailed it, and the power of the music was there. So yeah, that idea has totally been there. That's, you get that band because they know how to fucking do scores, and then make a new movie with a killer-ass character, do it silent movies, put the cue cards on screen. What better way to tell a horror story now, And everybody would praise you for being artsy-fartsy, too. Oh, my God, Because they wouldn't know. They don't watch that shit. They're bored out of their mind watching 1920s silent films.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Like, actually, the cool thing about this is, actually, I'll tell you this. In my school, for the past couple of years, I always would take like a movie class. Like, I would do one would be about like editing, one would be about like watching old time movies.
The different aspects.
Yeah, different types of movies and shows, like very old ones from like classics. And then there was this one. I had this one professor. Her name was like Professor Palmer, actually, and me and her and the whole class. My professor, she would take us downstairs to like this one of the auditoriums like in the school. Like, they had like their own like we had like our own theater like in the school, and sometimes there would be like a pianist, and he would play old old like 20th century like one of those really old like silent movies, and he would play the piano while like the movie was going on. So I was really introduced to like old classic silent films from like the very like old like 20s and all that and stuff, and I was like, I got a huge appreciation for that type of cinema back then. So it really, now I'm like, wow, I'm really enjoying this, and this is something really fun to actually see, like how movies were depicted back in the days, and how much, like, even not just like horror films, but other movies in general were
Yeah,
depicted back in the day, and I got a huge respect for that. And I always look, and I'm just like, oh, this is great cinema. Like it's a shame that not many people like respect this type of style anymore, because this is really good.
it is, man, because everything you just said was highlighted even more when I saw Dante's Inferno live with one of the guys from, speaking of Italian horror, Goblin. Oh, I forgot what his name is, but he did like synth and stuff too. Because Dante's Inferno is, I don't got the year right, but I'm pretty sure 1911.
Oh wow.
So it's even older than the shit that we just talked about, like Nosferatu and stuff. And so, what I didn't know until seeing that is that's so damn old that the cinematography is so primitive that it's literally, shots are just one freaking camera angle, and they'll sit there for like 5 minutes. So as you know, being with film, like, if the camera doesn't move, and sometimes most people, especially if you don't know about film, you don't notice the camera movement. You don't know the power of it anyway. And so this was like giving me a lesson of the holy shit, here's the power of the camera never moving, staying in one spot for 5 minutes. And I wasn't bored, because everything that was happening on screen was just so interesting. But the camera wasn't. But it was all about those shot compositions. Once you set up something that looked cool, and then it kept going as something just kept happening that retained your interest. I mean, dude, like, I'm pretty sure there's probably a 10 minutes camera in the same spot shot in that. And it was just of the era. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't think of anything now. Because if you look at it back then now, and that was considered professional filmography in, 1910, that 100 years later, fucking 110 years later, that, like, you don't know shit about film if that's how you're doing it. But you do. Because if you made that work, if you took on a project where you just did one angle, you tried to just film it like that, and you figured it out, made it work, dude, you'd be hailed as some sort of, like, this guy knows what he's doing, very minimally. And that's the point. And so that's how I think what's the tricky lesson is that it's easy to just be like, those people didn't know shit. That's all primitive technology. Like, no, they knew more than us, because they knew how to make this fucking shot look interesting. Because I think they probably even might, because I didn't really go officially to film school, but obviously I've very, very, very much dabbled into it, so I know at least the stuff. That realistically, there is at least an essence, maybe a film that you're trying to do. So maybe it's a dramatic scene where if you're doing a lot of cuts and angles and it's that's actually bad. That's poor. Like, because that sets up, like, it's good for a rock music video, but you don't want it to be so staggering and stuff. So like in horror, it's like just constantly moving. It's like the horror's lost, That's why, like, a lot of people are sucked into a lot of stuff like, Quentin Tarantino dialogue. It's not flashing all over the place. It just sucks over the guy's shoulder. It sucks you in, So, I don't know. But you brought out the fascination to that, though. That's, I don't know. I really like that stuff.
Oh yeah, me too, actually. Cause I've been getting a lot of respect for a lot of cinema actually today, because like not just today, but also the old times. Because um, as a person who majors in film and broadcasting, I just like even with horror films, I just I like going behind the scenes of things too, because I'm like, that's really cool.
Oh yeah. Even if like we're gonna follow Rick Baker, make a monster. Like, even if like, all right, yeah, he uses this and that and this to make it, you still always want to see it. I'm not bewildered by the fact that oh my God, he really wasn't on a mountain. They put him in front of a blue screen. This time they're gonna use a blue screen. Well, why they do? I'm not mystified. Well, why would you use blue over green? Like, you know all those practices, but still, when you see it, it's just like, oh wow, they use green screen, because there'll definitely be shots. Because there's definitely movies that aren't shit green screen. where section contrary that's so well done. You're like, holy fuck! I didn't even see a need to green screen that because the green screen was done so well that they're immersed in that setting. So yeah, it's always that. But especially the '80s movies though, like you can really spot a lot of settings created by the mats, like that an artist would paint to then finish it off, where then they just screen, like the section that they just wanted. RoboCop comes to mind. OCP building to be there, where it's like, well, they did use the Detroit skyline, but then they cut it off halfway here and painted in the OCP building. There's no OCP building.
No, also like.
Wait.
So I want to know if you agree with me with this. Actually, I've been observing it sometimes, but what was that I was gonna say? Like oh yeah, actually, have you recognized that old school like horror movies have a lot more blood and gore than like what we see today in horror films? Like I feel like there's like more um like a lot of things were a lot more bloodier and a lot more like gorier and a lot more like it felt like whatever they were using was more realistic than what it was today. Because like when I was watching like for example, I'll give you like when I was watching Dead Alive, and then I look at the like the new movies today, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like that anymore. It doesn't seem like they really want to go for like the over the top like gore aspect of what these old films were showing, and I was like, oh, that's kind of sad because I'm like, I miss that style. I want like my movies to look like really over the top when it comes to like horror and all that, because then it builds um more the excitement for me enjoying the film actually, especially when it comes to like zombie movies. Because I like when like I like the old classic zombie ways, like when they come up from the grave and all that, and they're in the grave.
Oh, I know. And like, you haven't seen Zombie, like you said. But
yeah.
Dude, you don't look at any zombies in that and spot problems. In fact, I'm impressed because like, wait until you see the Splinter scene. The Eye and Splinter scene.
Oh, wait,
my god!
I think I've seen that like on one.
Okay.
I saw that on like Mortician's like music video on YouTube, and I saw that and I was like, oh my
it's
god,
sick.
that is
it's
sick.
Disgusting, and you know it's fake, but shit, that's where you look even harder. Like, how the fuck does it look so good? It looks so raw. But even what actually kind of what you were saying is, when is it more campy? When maybe even when you do know. And I think, have you ever seen The Tingler with Vincent Price?
The Tingler? Actually, no, I haven't.
The same guy that did House on Haunted Hill. Fuck if I remember. His Castle is his last name, I believe. Did The Tingler after House on Haunted Hill. And House on Haunted Hill was like his big, really breakthrough, and that came out. It's campy too when you watch that, but it's got a lot of the same qualities as I'm about to describe, as you essentially are describing, I think. But it was the Tingler special features that made me really realize that, because somebody pointed out that, dude, a movie like The Tingler, it's ridiculous. And it is. It's 50s cheese in its finest. Oh my god. You might as well get a milkshake from a diner that somebody serves you on roller skates afterward. Because it's so much that quality. But it's the bug. It's a bug. The Tingler's a bug. Because that was how the director did his things. Like he did what I think he called it 4-dimension or whatever, 3-dimension, basically, where it was all about the theater experience. So here we are, 70 years later, and we don't have that theater experience. Especially, even if we did, it would still probably be campy. Where there's a scene where the whole screen just goes black because the Tingler's loose out in the audience. And if you were there in the audience, they would have had like these little things, like its antennas, and it would have tickled your legs and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But we just get to experience it goes all black. And Vincent Price is like, I'm looking for it and stuff. So anyway, cheesier than shit. Awesome fucking movie. And in the special features, like the lady said, it's so ridiculous. It's got a director that embraces the ridiculous, because that was his shtick, to like push the experience of cinema in the theater experience. But Vincent Price can take a ridiculous thing like The Tingler, and he's such a great actor, and he just sells it. So then anytime at least he's on camera, you're like, fuck, The Tingler. Even though it looks like this horrible plastic bug, it's going to get me, like shit. And so it's the same thing, where it's like, I think if you watch like the gore and stuff, like it's there so as the actor can truly react to something. Like it could be this freaking coffee mug. Oh my God, the blood's gonna get on me. I'm sorry, but even if you're who's a great actor, you're gonna somehow be stripped away when it's just like a director saying, "Well, in post, there's going to be this big stupid bug crawling on you. We're not bringing it today. No, we're not using my coffee mug either. You're just going to have to think of it on you." Like, you're going to have a slightly different reaction to sell that. And the old stuff always sold that, whether it was campy or not. And I think it's that dynamic of difference. Then it's the cinematographer literally seeing it. The Thing comes to mind. Dean Cundey, cinematographer. He did freaking Jurassic Park and stuff. He's been a part of John Carpenter's world, though. But he went on did huge shit with Steven Spielberg. So the guy knows his stuff. And he's larger the reason why Halloween looks as great as it does, because he shot that. And so, it was said that in The Thing, like a lot of the stuff, the props were looking fake. And it was because of Dean Cundey that they looked great, because he's like, we gotta light this so that you don't see the gleam of the light on the rubber, the way that it gives off the fact that it is. But we also don't want to not light it either, because that's the oldest trick in the book, too, when you don't know how to figure out this problem. You know what I mean? So then it made him light the scene differently. So now you got this fake-looking plastic monster that looks great, but then you also have this actor that's going to look great, too, that's immersed in this. But it never would have looked as good visually lit if you just half-assed it and said we're going to CGI it later. And you have to do that stuff because it's a cheap shot. It's the same thing of why people like old recordings, because the bands were all there playing at the same time. They didn't overdub it a zillion times. Sure, it worked for Dark Throne and the one-man black metal bands out there, but it didn't work for 70s hard rock. So I think it's all that kind of thing. Organic mold, really.
Yeah, that's a really, really amazing, great point, actually, that you really have with all this. That's amazing.
I've had time to nerd out about the thought.
No, but I do agree with you with the one-man bands, actually, because it's like basically them doing everything.
Yeah, and there's some quality to that, don't get me wrong. But it's the execution of that, too. If their attitude was there, where it never seemed to them that they were overdubbing something, then the performance might be just as aggressive as if it was a full band. Whereas if they were like, fuck, I got to go to the guitars, or maybe like having a problem with it, where they couldn't just be the guitar player quality that needs to be, where they go in there and it's live and they feel it, then it's going to be diminished and it's going to sound like an overdub. So you can't cheat even if you're the only guy. You just gotta. I think it's just that much harder because you've got to get into a whole band is here maybe world, or maybe that's the quality that people love about those. Is there is a one man did this all organic quality to it, and that's what makes the one man black metal thing a thing. You know.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Now, have you ever seen that one man metal documentary? Actually.
One Man Metal is what it's called?
Yes.
No, I've never heard of it.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, the One Man Black Metal. It's a One Man Black Metal documentary. It's just called One Man Metal. It's on YouTube, actually, and it's about these 3 black metal bands called Xastor, Leviathan, and Streborg.
Well, I've heard of them all, so okay.
Yeah, so it tells you the story between, like, all 3 and, like, how, like, it's basically talking with them themselves, like Scott Connor of Xastor, Jeff Whitehead of Leviathan, and Russell Menzies of Streborg, and they tell you how, like, you know, it's a Vice interview, so, like, if you've ever seen Vice, then you know what they're like, what they're gonna talk about and all that. But it's
okay.
It's really good and everything, because then it tells like each of them talk about like basically they mostly all talk about like how like what they are as a person, how they got influenced with the music they made, and then you see like where they live, and you can be like, oh yeah, I can see why they're basically they live a misanthropic type of life and how they get their feeling for the music that they write, and it's really interesting.
Right. Yeah, that stuff's it's really interesting because you know it is those things. I mean, they're the mysteries that intrigue everybody because they come up in interviews and stuff all the time. So it's there whether you realize you have that thought or not, in most people anyway. And so, the intrigue to discover that is always there, and it is always cool. And then it does always make sense when you, I think, discover it.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds interesting. I never thought about it like that though until just now. Like of maybe the one-man black metal thing is different. Well, I mean, it's undoubtedly different than the live band. Like the you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
The '70s band just going literally in the studio to hash it all out. There's no, maybe they overdub a solo because there was one guitar and they wanted to have a rhythm guitar underneath. But you know what I mean? Like it's bare minimally, it's that energy that I think that's the difference. Where like maybe it's that energy in one man black metal of the overdub quality. But there's something like I kind of like that myself. Like the last Crucified Mortal stuff that has been happening has been less band involvement and more so just myself, or at least the dynamic when it comes to other people. It's already, the idea is already done. Hey, you do this for me, and then whatever they send back is already done. Whatever they contributed to where, I react to that. But I like that better because it's like less people that can tell you their opinion. It's kind of a control freak thing, but it's not a control freak thing to be like some sort of ego. It's just one of comfort. That's like, I just think I work better this way. So I think maybe a lot of that, and I know a lot of that black metal stuff has to be that way because they're black metal. So a lot of these people are, they're singing about hating the world. So I highly doubt that they wanted to have a band of 5 people. They probably didn't have enough friends.
And
course, so it might be that dynamic that made it fall into that unintentionally. But now is a thing that 20 years from now, when people we're getting a Zathter clone, and people are like, it doesn't sound the same. Well, it's got 5 members of the band. It needs to be one guy. It'll be the reverse.
Oh yeah, because actually one of my friends he owns a YouTube channel on YouTube. The name of his channel is Black Metal Rebellion, and he's he makes like YouTube videos about also like I do in general with reviews and everything. And he actually started like a one-man black metal project called Jakir. And he already has like 3 albums already out. That's like one that is just a demo, and then there's like another like full length, and then he made an EP just last year. And it's some really good stuff actually. Like it's very raw sounding, and it's something that if you're very interested in actually checking out, you should.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially some of this stuff. It's just like I think. Well, black metal for me is always more of a discovery because I was never huge on it, even with the classics, in my even early formation stuff. So there's even classic stuff that I'm hearing again or hearing again maybe and then liking or hearing for the first time because admittedly some of it's admittedly by the way but some of it's like also of generation 2, I don't want to be that guy to remind you that there wasn't always the internet.
Oh, yeah.
But there wasn't always the internet. So when it comes to some of that stuff, maybe Darkthrone wasn't there in the 90s for me because of the avail of the internet that, oh my God, it's a pivotal band. How did you ever avoid that? And then it's one of those things, then you go on and then you're in your 20s or something and then you're focused on thrash or something. So the thought of even going back to Darkthrone is at least one you think, forget about it. So a lot of shit like that, I think, is for black metal. But there's that. I mean, there's a lot to be discovered with. I mean, it's gotten so interesting as a subgenre of black metal. You know what I mean? Where it's like now you even have because there's the Norwegian style, and then you can even have like the South American style, the American style, one man or not, full band or not, apparently, drum machine or not. Like I would almost say that's a style. And then it's this hipster neckbeard thing, as they say. So it's like it's all over the place where there's a lot to even choose from it. Most of it I didn't get all that well though. There's the crybaby black metal too, depressive black metal as they call it.
Oh yeah, DSBM, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big world in and of itself.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. And also like I'm gonna end it actually right here.
Sure.
Like so, I want to say one thing. It was an absolute pleasure getting to speak with you and actually getting to interview you. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Oh, absolutely, man. I love doing it. And I would, like doing content and stuff. So to even be wanted to be, on somebody else's, I, can always embrace that. So I'm flattered and happy to have done it. So thank you. And anytime again,
Of
or shit.
course.
If your film career takes off, hit me up. We'll do the we'll be the ones that make the silent horror movie in 2020. I already have the monster.
I would actually like to do that. Actually, I think that would be not a bad idea.
Dude, I already have the monster. I already have kind of the idea. Just don't have the time or the crew. Or the guy to do the soundtrack yet. But I know a few people that would probably do a really good job.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah.
So overall, thank you for doing this, and it was an absolute pleasure. And I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know if you got any links or anything when you post it to share.
Oh,
That
of
way it'll
course.
lead some Reaper Metal followers your way too.
Oh, please do. Like, I would love for like everyone to check it out actually, because I just love to spread like the whole word of metal and get the community up more into understanding what's going on and seeing what
Yeah.
else is out there.
No, it's great, man. I agree, and I see it in you too. I can definitely tell, and that's what we need, And I very much embody that same spirit myself. And so, like I said, to embrace the technology, and then that's where it leads you, is people that know the content you're doing or the content you've done, and it's and then it grows or inspires them to do other things. We need a world like that, So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Anymore, it's a scene. Everybody loves to talk about the scene.
of
Shit.
course.
Don't rag on the people that are doing anything because they can do that very easily. So, but yeah, very, very much a pleasure, man. I'm happy to have you on.
Of course. Oh, but one last thing. This is the last thing. If you're interested, actually, tonight at 9 o'clock p.m., me and a few of my friends will be doing like a metal type of like live stream tonight. We always talk about different types of bands and what we're doing and what's going on. So if you're interested, it's going to be on one of my friends' channels tonight at 9 p.m. So if you're interested, you should come and check us out.
Yeah, send me a link.
Oh, of course.
If I got time, I'll try to pop in or something. Throughout the day or throughout the time that's happening.
Of course.
If not, just totally, got nothing going on. But yeah, send me the link.
All right, because it's going to be on my friend's channel, Death Like Reviews, so that's where it's going to be on.
Killer, yeah, no, send me that link. Hell, I can probably even try to share it for them.
Oh, please do. So overall, thank you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Absolutely, man. Take care, and I'll chat with you soon.
All right, see you around, man.
All right, cheers.
All right, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Subscribe.